Rachna ma'am. Hello, Rachna ma'am. Yes, start ma'am.
Good morning, everyone.
Sir, 1 minute, 1 minute. Rachna ma'am.
Yes, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Start.
A very good and sunny morning to all of you. On behalf of Faculty of Education in Tirthankar Mahavir University, Muradabad, here on the 4th day of the meeting, I am Mishra Saxena, Assistant Professor, got the chance to welcome our respected patrons, wise speakers, and all the participants whose patience made this program successful. I welcome all of you in this 7 days FDP program 2020 and 21 on the topic Hybrid Research Uncovering Greater Insight with Combined Approaches. I think it is a great honor to give my gratitude to our honorable patrons, Honorable Chancellor Sir Shri Suresh Jainji, Group Vice Chairman Shri Manish Jainji, Governing Body Member Mr. Akshat Jainji, Vice Chancellor Sir Professor Raghuveer Singh Ji, Registrar Sir Mr. Aditya Sharma Ji, Director Sir Professor MP Singh Sir Ji, all the principals and all the participants who consider me to host this FDP program 2020 and 21. I'm very thankful to all of you. Yesterday on the third day, dear all, we got the immense knowledge of Professor Tarlok Bandhu, Principal of Khalsa College of Education, Shri Muktasar Sahib Punjab, and Professor Ashok Sidana ji from Agrasen Snatkotar Shiksha Mahavidyalaya Keshav Vidyapeeth, Jaipur. They stated all the aspects of the studies in the process of research and all the innovative tools in hybrid education. And they provide us a vivid description of all. Now, on the 4th day of this FDP program, we will get to know ethical aspects of experimental research and regulations and how can we enhance research visibility by the reference management in scientific publication by the knowledgeable speakers Dr. Sukhdev, Mishra ji and Dr. Swati Joshi. So without delay, I would like to call Ms. Ruby Sharma, Faculty of Education on the line for the welcome remarks.
Thank you,
Hello,
ma'am. Hello. Am I audible to you, ma'am?
Yes, you are audible and visible too.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. A very good morning to one and all present here. I am Ruby Sharma. I am a faculty member at Tirthankar Mahavir University in Education Department. I take this opportunity to welcome all our guest participants in this FDP on the extremely relevant topic of current scenario. This FDP program will focus on the procedure to do research. As a researcher, it is a mandatory for one to know the basics and have a core idea in order to satisfy the purpose of research. So today, to talk on ethical aspects of experimental research with us, Dr. Sukhdev Mishra, and the second session will be delivered by Sir from the field, Dr. Swati Joshi, whose topic is enhancing research visibility through. Hello.
Yes,
Hello.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am. You are audible.
Okay. So enhancing research visibility through reference management in scientific publication. Now I would like to welcome our keynote speaker, Dr. Sukhdev Mishra. But before that, I would like to give you a brief introduction about Sukhdev Mishra, sir. Dr. Sukhdev Mishra has more 15 years experience in research and development area. He holds PhD in statistics and currently working as a scientist at ICMR, National Institute of Occupational Health, Ahmedabad. Earlier, he has also worked as a research fellow at Department of Statistics, North State University, United States, as a statistical investigator. He has completed nearly 10 government-funded research projects, including organization ISRO, in the area of air pollution and health. He currently serves as a research and integrated officer at his research organization, Dr. Sukhdev Mishra will now share his views on ethical aspects of experimental research and regulation. On behalf of entire organizing committee, I take this opportunity to invite Dr. Sukhdev Mishra, sir. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Ruby, for this introduction. My good morning to all of you. At the first, I would like to give my regards to all the high officials of your university, this Tirthankar Mahavir University, and I'm really thankful to the Department of Education who actually, sent me this invitation to deliver this lecture. I would like to really appreciate your efforts which you are doing in this area. I think this topic of research is very much relevant, and the talk which I'm going to start today is based on something which is more of a moral compass of each and everyone who is involved in research these days. As you know that this is a very touchy area for many of the researchers and subjects. So I will share my slide now. Okay, how can I do that?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, right. So share screen, all right. Is my slide, is that visible?
Yes, sir. Visible. Visible, sir.
Okay, good. So the topic actually is, which I will speak on, is related to the ethical aspects of experimental research and the regulations. So I have a disclaimer before that. So all the views and opinions which I'm going to express here or which I'm going to say here, they are mine and not necessarily they represent my employer's view. So the researchers in the modern days, if you keep on searching some of the literature or some website which actually talk about these kind of problems, such as, litextandwatch.com. So if you see that a lot of research papers, they are being retracted. And many of the retractions actually sometimes they are related to the data, but it is also being observed that many of the topic actually they are, many of the retractions, they are also related to the ethical violations. So if you send your paper to some good journal and they realize or somebody actually sent them email or somebody really complain about it that there has been certain ethical violations in the research, then there will be actually a thorough investigation. And if the editor actually, if they seem it necessary or they seem it if they find it appropriate, you may get this paper retracted actually. And sometimes the worst thing is that in case of a serious violation, you can get actually the ban also. So you cannot publish any paper for a certain time or period. For example, I'm just showing you some, this first slide here, which says that the author was banned actually for 3 years. So, and nobody would like to do that. Not necessarily that, people, they do it, they do it by intention. Sometimes this happen actually unintentionally also. So, we understand that the level of research or the standard of research, they differ, and they differ by the country or by the society also. Something which can be a very touchy and very ethical aspects here in India, it cannot be actually, it may not be considered so much ethical in some of other country. So it depends. So the ethics is actually a quite interdisciplinary topic, but it has multiple facets. So this is very important that when we get involved into the research, we should have some good readings about the ethical aspects of that particular country or that particular society or that particular organization or that particular university. So there are certain organizations in India which has I mean, they have their moral or ethical standards very high, where there could be certain organization who actually give researchers relaxations. If you do some mistake, you may not be get persecuted. But there are certain organizations in India, or especially if you are in actually government sector, you have a one little bit added responsibility, or you are being an educational researcher, you have more responsibility. So every researcher who is actually is involved into the research. Now the point comes that whether the experimental research comes under the area of ethical research, or it is observational research actually which comes under the ethical umbrella. So दोनों केसेस में चाहे आप एक्सपेरिमेंटल रिसर्च करते हो या फिर आप ऑब्जर्वेशनल या केवल आप ऑब्जर्व करते हैं स्टडीज, उस तरह की रिसर्च में अगर आप इन्वॉल्व हैं, तो दोनों ही केसेस में आपको जो एथिकल स्टैंडर्ड्स हैं वो आपके जो आपके ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के मानक हैं या जो आपके दूसरे पैमाने हो सकते हैं, चाहे हो सकता है वो कोई प्रोफेशनल बॉडी के हो, तो इस तरह के सभी जितने भी स्टैंडर्ड्स हो सकते हैं जो कि रिसर्च पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से जरूरी हैं, तो कोई भी रिसर्चर्स को वो डालने चाहिए अपने प्रोटोकॉल में, अपने रिसर्च के डॉक्यूमेंट में। अनफॉर्चुनेटली हमारी कंट्री में उतना ज्यादा हम इस एरिया में हमने उतना काम नहीं किया है, लेकिन मैं आपको सच बताऊं, जो अगर हम अपने हिस्ट्री में जाएं बहुत पहले, so I think there are very good examples from महाभारत। तो लाइक जैसे गीता में भगवान कृष्ण ने अर्जुन को ऐसा बहुत बताया था कि आपके कौन कौन से वो वर्च्यूज हैं जिससे आप अपने कर्तव्यों से हट जाते हैं या कर्तव्यों से विमुख हो जाते हैं, आपके अंदर कुछ ऐसी लालसाएं या कुछ ऐसी बैड या वाइस वर्च्यूज क्रिएट कर देते हैं कि आप जो सच है, जो गलत है, रॉन्ग राइट, इस तरह के जो बहुत क्रिटिकल कंपोनेंट है ह्यूमन कैरेक्टरिस्टिक से, आप उनसे डिवीट हो जाते हैं। तो इस तरह के हैं हमारे पास बहुत सारे एग्जांपल्स। तो हमारी माइथोलॉजी में या हमारी सोसाइटी में इस तरह के बहुत सारे आपको देखने को मिल जाएंगी, इस तरह के एजुकेशनल कंटेंट या जहाँ पे कोई धर्म से रिलेटेड कोई ऐसी चीज हो। सो एथिक्स जो है वो बहुत इंडिया के लिए कुछ नया नहीं है, लेकिन नया जो है वो इसके अंदर ये है कि जिस तरह से जो सोशल एक चेंजेस आ रहे हैं सोसाइटी में एट द लेवल ऑफ एजुकेशन एंड द वे वी कंडक्ट द रिसर्च, जिस तरह से हम लोग रिसर्च करते हैं उस तरह के जो पैमाने जितनी जल्दी से कन्वर्ट हो रहे हैं, टेक्नोलॉजी जिस तेजी के साथ बदल रही है, तो उनके साथ में रिसर्चर्स को कोप अप करना और उन चीजों को अपनी रिसर्च में बनाए रखना, बिकॉज इट्स अ वेरी चैलेंजिंग जॉब। डूइंग रिसर्च इज नॉट एन इजी थिंग। केवल डेटा कलेक्शन या सिर्फ एक आधा रिसर्च पेपर छापने से दैट्स नॉट एक्चुअली द रियल स्टैंडर्ड फॉर एजुकेशनल रिसर्चर or any researcher for that nature. So people actually, they should be very much updated and they should know that what are the new guidelines which government is putting or which a professional body is putting, and they should adhere to those kind of guidelines, because they may affect your career, they may affect your reputation also. So I will give you this one example. Very recently, a prominent organization in India who conduct research in biological sciences, So it happened actually, they have to retract the paper, and I'm telling you that the biggest, the loss which happens in this case is to the researcher, and it affects the PhD student also if they conduct, if they do misconduct in the research area. But it's largely the reputation of researcher or the faculty who was involved into that research. So it is our responsibility to do good research, but it's more added responsibility to actually preserve our integrity, or the standards by which we conduct the research. So we should keep our spirits high in this area. और जो आज का जो टॉपिक है वो बहुत ज्यादा आपको कोई पढ़ाएगा ऐसा बहुत मुश्किल है. The reason is because the ethics और जो आपकी moral compass है वो कोई बताने की चीज नहीं है, वो एक ऐसी चीज है कि that should come from within. जब आपके अंदर से अगर आपका कॉन्शियसनेस क्लियर है, तो जब आप रिसर्च करते हैं अपने सब्जेक्ट्स को लेके, तो आप उन चीजों को लेके बहुत सतर्क रहेंगे और ध्यान रखेंगे कि कोई इस तरह की चीज ना हो जिससे रिसर्चर्स के इंटरेस्ट में या कम से कम सब्जेक्ट्स के इंटरेस्ट में किसी भी तरह की कोई प्रॉब्लम क्रिएट हो. सो विद दैट, now if you want to define the ethics, then how do we do that? So I will say that there is no fixed definition for ethics, because everyone has their own they perceive ethics differently. So, but still, if you want to if you really want to put them into some definition or into some words which you can actually express in a more scientific way, then I will say that this is more of your professional duty to adhere actually to the spirit of guiding principles of the scientific area, and apply those standards or apply those principles with all the integrity in your research activity, so that you actually can uphold your work, and the other researchers, they can see your work as a very ethical, justifiable or sound. तो जो ये खास तौर से अपने लिए भी और दूसरों के लिए भी जो आपकी रिसर्च को जज करते हैं कि आप कैसा काम करते हैं, तो उनके लिए भी एक आपको एक पैमाना होना चाहिए कि ठीक है, XYZ रिसर्चर्स का जो काम करने का तरीका है फॉर एथिकल ग्राउंड पे वो बहुत हाई है, और we cannot actually doubt the research of that particular work or the particular data. Now there are 4 very basic principles actually, which which can be counted on this ground of ethics. So if you understand all these 4, and if you really what we say that if you could आत्मसात all these 4 principles, तो आपको कोई ना बुक पढ़नी है, ना ही आपको कोई अलग से किसी से गाइडेंस लेना है. You can be judge of your work yourself. So जो पहला प्रिंसिपल है जो एजुकेशनल रिसर्च को लेके या किसी भी तरह की रिसर्च को लेके जो कि एक्सपेरिमेंटल नेचर की हो सकती है, तो उसमें ये 4 प्रिंसिपल, जिसमें कि पहला है रिस्पेक्ट. How we can actually more describe this is that any kind of research, when we do it on our subjects or we do it on students or we do it in a classroom, so we should respect actually the researcher, I mean the subjects, and the respect can come that this might be their confidentiality or their like their the anonymity. So as a principle, we should not actually identify subjects because we respect their privacy and their anonymity or confidentiality. There are a lot of researchers actually, and there are a lot of different domains also. For example, ऐसे social science researchers जो कि HIV के एरिया में काम करते हैं, या किसी ऐसे, या आज की परिस्थिति में जैसे LGBTQs के इश्यूज हैं, तो जब आप उन पे काम करते हो तो उसकी जो पहली एक रिक्वायरमेंट रहती है कि जो सब्जेक्ट्स है उसको प्रोटेक्ट कैसे किया जाए. एज ए रिसर्चर हमारी जिम्मेदारी है कि जो उनके इश्यूज हैं, जो उनकी समस्याएं हैं, वो हम अपनी सोसाइटी में कैसे बेटर एड्रेस कर सकते हैं ना. एक अच्छी सोसाइटी में यही है कि आप एविडेंस बेस्ड पॉलिसीज बनाएं, है ना. तो इस तरह से अगर कोई भी सब्जेक्ट है किसी भी तरह की रिसर्च में, चाहे वो छोटा हो चाहे वो बड़ा हो, किसी भी तरह की धर्म से, जाति से, या किसी भी तरह के ओपिनियन से, पॉलिटिकल इंटरेस्ट उसके हो सकते हैं, लेकिन as a researchers we need to be very unbiased and we need to respect that the person has a right to privacy and has a right to anonymity and he has a right to confidentiality of the information which he is sharing with me. That's a mutual trust. So if you will not respect that mutual trust, it's going to be very, very difficult actually for the researchers who will do research in the future. So respect is the first step actually which we should establish with our subjects when we are trying to conduct the research. The second is beneficence, which means that we need to keep this thing in our mind that our ultimate objective is the welfare or the benefit of our subjects. So, for example, whatever the research we do, it should be in the benefit. So whatever we are doing is not actually for the benefit of our researchers. For example, हमें ऐसा कोई पेपर छाप के हमारा पेपर छापना ऑब्जेक्टिव नहीं होना चाहिए बहुत, या हमें कोई रिपोर्ट सबमिट करनी है कहीं पे, तो उस तरह के हमारे ऑब्जेक्टिव्स नहीं होने चाहिए. जो हमारी ऑब्जेक्टिव में जो एक प्राथमिकता है वो होनी चाहिए कि हम अपने सब्जेक्ट्स को बेनिफिट कैसे करें इससे. अल्टीमेटली किसी भी जो रिसर्च का एक ऑब्जेक्टिव रहता है तो यही है कि किस तरह से हम जो अपने सामाजिक तमाम तरह के जो पैरामीटर्स हैं उनको कैसे इम्प्रूव कर सकें. और उनको इम्प्रूव करने के लिए जो रिसर्च है उसके अंदर एक ही चीज है कि आपको जो बेनिफिट्स हैं सब्जेक्ट्स के उनको ध्यान में रख के काम करना है, न कि आपको अपने ऑब्जेक्टिव्स को ध्यान में रखना है कि नहीं हमारा पेपर में या हमारा डेटा वही आ रहा है जो हमने सोचा है या हमारा डेटा कुछ गलत आ रहा है. बहुत से रिसर्चर्स ऐसा करते हैं कि अगर मान लो कोई ऐसा सब्जेक्ट ऐसी इंफॉर्मेशन आने लगती है उनके सर्वे में या उनके एक्सपेरिमेंट्स में जो कि उनको बहुत बेनिफिट नहीं कर रही है, देन दे स्टार्ट मॉडिफाइंग द क्वेश्चंस और दे विल actually they will try to coach the subject ताकि सब्जेक्ट्स का जो ओपिनियन है वो एक्चुअली थोड़ा डिफरेंट डायरेक्शन में बने. सो ऐसे बहुत सारे सिचुएशंस आते हैं, तो वहां पे हम लोग को ध्यान रखना है कि हमारा जो प्राथमिकता है वो सब्जेक्ट्स के वेलफेयर को लेके है, उसके बेनिफिट को लेके है. The non-maleficence, which is not to harm the subject. So non-maleficence means anishtata. So whatever the research we do, actually, it should not in any way harm the subject. For example, and this can happen in multiple ways. For example, it can happen if we disclose the information that who participated in our study. So if we expose that population, if we expose that those people actually who participate in our research, their opinion is actually known to the public, and then they might get affected, or they might be get attacked, or they might get threats just because the way they express themselves. So in any way which can harm our subjects, that should be one of the important aspects when we design our research. And the way we frame our questions, actually, that's also very important thing. So the way we form our questions, they should be in such a way that they should encourage actually to participants to to express freely, not to perceive any kind of loss or harm, or being at a situation where they can compromise their freedom, or they might be there might be some other kind of perceived loss also. So non-maleficence deals with all those aspects of a research where there should not be caused any kind of harm. Then comes the justice. So when we conduct our research, we should keep this thing in our mind that whether we are doing the justice with the overall research, for example, with our resources or with their time. For example, justice can actually take the form in multiple. It can take multiple forms of actually. So, be it your resources, be it the time you are taking of subjects, or be the overall importance of your study. So this overall being, this should upheld the justice part of your research. So these are the 4 basic principles actually which we should stick around. So if we stick around in around these 4 principles, we actually will be upholding the the ethics as an educational researcher. Now, what are the requirements that ensure the research is ethical? So there can be certain components which, if we take care, then we can say that all the ethical components has been taken care, and there is no ethical violation. For example, अगर आपको कोई researcher या कोई journal आपको पूछता है कि आपने क्या इस तरह के ये काम किए थे, या आपने ये मे भी हो सकता है जो लिस्ट आपके सामने दिख रही है, इस लिस्ट में से वो पूछ सकते हैं कि आपने इन चीजों को कैसे इंश्योर किया, कैसे आपने इस बात को ध्यान में रखा कि ये सभी जितने भी पॉइंट्स हैं वो आपकी स्टडी में फुलफिल हुए। और मेरा एक्सपीरियंस ये कहता है कि या फिर आपके साथ भी ऐसा हो सकता है कि बहुत बार जो रिव्यूज के अंदर क्वेरीज आती हैं रिव्यूअर्स की, या हो सकता है एडिटर खुद भेजे, तो वो अगर एथिकल एस्पेक्ट से रिलेटेड है तो वो इन कम से कम 5 से ये जो 6 से 7 एरिया है इनके अंदर वो कवर होती है। जैसे कई बार ऐसा होता है कि हम लोग जब रिसर्च पेपर्स लिखते हैं या कोई थीसिस लिखते हैं, उसमें रहता है कि जो उसका कंपोनेंट है जिसमें सोशल और साइंटिफिक वैल्यू क्या है उस रिसर्च की। कोई भी आपने एजुकेशनल रिसर्च करी तो उसका सोशल और साइंटिफिक इंपॉर्टेंस क्या है आपको उसमें लिखना चाहिए, तो उसको बहुत क्लियरली मेंशन करना चाहिए। और क्लियरली मेंशन करने का मतलब है इतना क्लियर होना चाहिए कि जब आदमी पढ़े उसको तो देन ही शुड थिंक ऑफ दैट यस दिस इज अ वैल्यूएबल रिसर्च एंड वी शुड पब्लिश दिस वर्क। सेकंड, इट्स साइंटिफिक वैलिडिटी हो सकती है उसकी। साइंटिफिक वैलिडिटी इज मोर ऑफ अ कंसर्न ऑफ मेथोडोलॉजी व्हिच वी हैव फॉलोड। जैसे कि आपने जिस तरह के स्केल्स यूज किए हैं अपने रिसर्च में, क्या वो स्केल वैलिडेटेड है, क्या वो ट्रांसलेटेड है, क्या वो बैक ट्रांसलेट वैलिडेशन है उनका कि नहीं है। तो इस तरह के तमाम टूल्स हो सकते हैं जो एजुकेशनल रिसर्च में यूज करते हैं। तो क्या वो जो टूल्स हैं उनकी साइंटिफिक वैलिडिटी है और उनका कितना एक्सेप्टेबिलिटी है, उनकी रिलायबिलिटी कितनी है। तो जो इस तरह के चीजें होती हैं वो they comes under the scientific validity. Then comes the fair subject selection, which is जब हम लोग अपना स्टडी के सब्जेक्ट्स लेते हैं उनको फेयर तरीके से किया गया है कि नहीं किया गया है। फेयर का मतलब बहुत वाइड है। इस सिनेरियो में रिसर्च जो हम लोग कंडक्ट करते हैं, स्पेशली जैसे फेयर सिलेक्शन में कई बार लोग क्या करते हैं कि they just try to reach to someone who actually might be willing to participate in their research work. तो which should not be the case actually. जब भी हम लोग रिसर्च करते हैं तो हमें हमारी स्टडी पॉपुलेशन के बारे में बहुत क्लियर कट आइडिया होना चाहिए और जो हमारे सब्जेक्ट्स हैं उनका एक प्री आइडेंटिफिकेशन थ्रू अ सेट ऑफ क्वालिफिकेशंस होना चाहिए। जैसे कि उनका एज हो सकता है, उनके जो दूसरे पैमाने हो सकते हैं वो वैसे कुछ हो सकते हैं वो, या सिलेक्शन कैसे हो सकता है। कई बार जैसे एक्सपेरिमेंटल रिसर्च है, अगर आप उसमें पर्पजिव सैम्पलिंग करते हैं या अगर आप उसमें जाके कन्वीनियंस सैम्पलिंग करते हैं, जो मिला मार्केट में उसको पकड़ लिया, बोला तुम्हारा ओपिनियन क्या है, लाइक करते हो नहीं करते हो, ये सब चीजें। तो जो ये इस तरह की जो रिसर्च होती है उसमें बहुत फेयर सब्जेक्ट सिलेक्शन नहीं होता है और न ही उनका जो स्टैटिस्टिकल बेसिस है उनके जो कंक्लूजन्स का वो सब इनवैलिड होता है। और इस तरह के दूसरे और भी इश्यूज हो सकते हैं, जैसे कि फॉर एग्जांपल अब फेयर सब्जेक्ट सिलेक्शन कैसे इंश्योर किया जाए, उसके पीछे बहुत सारे साइंटिफिक मेथड्स हैं। मैं तो स्टैटिस्टिशियन हूँ तो उस पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से जैसे हम कैसे करते हैं, तो हम लोग तो जैसे कोई भी सैम्पलिंग रहेगी तो उसके पहले जैसा एक कंपोनेंट है उसका रैंडमनेस होना चाहिए, सो दैट जो आपकी वेरिएबिलिटी है इट शुड बी यूनिफॉर्मली डिस्ट्रीब्यूटेड एंड सडन नॉन नॉर्मल डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन। या दूसरा जो उसकी प्रॉपर्टी डिजायर्ड है फॉर द स्टडी ऑब्जेक्टिव को पूरा करने के लिए। तो इस तरह से सब्जेक्ट्स का जो सिलेक्शन है वो फेयर होना चाहिए, ना कि इट शुड बी अफेक्टेड बाय द चॉइस ऑफ इन्वेस्टिगेटर। वो जो ये एक जो एलिमेंट होता है सिलेक्शन का कि हम इसको पिकअप करेंगे, उसको पिकअप करेंगे, ये अच्छा दिख रहा है इसको ले लो, ये थोड़ा अच्छे से एक्सप्रेस कर सकता है तो उसको ले लो, या इसको लैंग्वेज थोड़ी ठीक से बता रहा है तो उसको ले लो। तो इस तरह के जो सब्जेक्ट सिलेक्शन होते हैं वो नहीं होना चाहिए। सब्जेक्ट सिलेक्शन बहुत ही साइंटिफिक और कोई एक क्राइटेरिया बेस्ड होना चाहिए। दूसरा ये जैसे रिस्क बेनिफिट रेशियो है, तो उसमें जब हम लोग अपना रिसर्च क्वेश्चन जो होते हैं, जो हमारी हाइपोथेसिस होती है, तो जब उसके अराउंड में हम कोई रिसर्च प्रोजेक्ट फ्रेम करते हैं तो जो हमारे सब्जेक्ट्स हैं कई स्टडीज ऐसी होती हैं उनमें रिस्क होता ही होता है। जैसे साइकोलॉजिकल या साइकेट्रिक या मेडिकल हेल्थ में जब हम लोग बहुत सारे एक्सपेरिमेंट्स कंडक्ट करते हैं तो उसमें रिस्क होता है। जैसे कि फॉर एग्जांपल लेट इट बी लाइक कोविड के लिए वैक्सीन प्रिपरेशन होता है, तो उसमें क्या है कि आपको nobody knows if the vaccine doesn't work, it may cause some kind of adverse effects, कुछ ऐसी प्रॉब्लम्स भी क्रिएट कर सकता है। लेकिन if vaccine works then the patient is protected, right? तो उसमें एक उसका बेनिफिट भी है। तो कोई भी सब जब हम लोग अपना स्टडी जब बनाएं उसको डिजाइन करें तो हमें एथिकल पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से ये ध्यान रखना चाहिए कि ऐसा नहीं कि रिस्क 90% है और बेनिफिट केवल 10% है, दैट विल नॉट वर्क। सो आपके लिए रिस्क और बेनिफिट इक्वल होना चाहिए, और या फिर कोई कुछ ऐसे बहुत कंपेलिंग रीजंस होने चाहिए कि ठीक है रिस्क है उसमें ज्यादा है, बट देन द बेनिफिट फॉर द अपकमिंग सब्जेक्ट्स, फॉर एग्जांपल द फ्यूचर जनरेशन, दैट विल बी वेरी हाई। सो इस तरह के बहुत सारे कंडीशंस हो सकते हैं जहां पे ये कुछ ऊपर नीचे हम लोग कर सकते हैं। पांचवा है इंडिपेंडेंट रिव्यू। I have seen this that nobody likes to get reviewed the work, no, because it gives you a lot of criticism. But as a researcher, actually, we should be very open to get criticism. अगर हमें कोई भी व्यक्ति अगर हमारे रिसर्च के बारे में कुछ बुरा बताता है तो we should accept it and we should try to actually improve it. So कभी भी जब भी हम लोग अपना रिसर्च प्रोजेक्ट बनाएं और अगर हमें मौका मिलता है, जैसे मुझे नहीं पता लेकिन बहुत सारे यूनिवर्सिटीज में, बहुत सारे इंस्टीट्यूशंस में, बहुत सारे बड़े ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस में भी ऐसा हो सकता है कि उनके यहाँ इंडिपेंडेंट रिव्यू का जैसा कुछ है ही नहीं। खास तौर से हमारे यहाँ सिनेरियो ऐसा होता है कि बहुत बारी रिसर्चर को उसको पता ही नहीं चलता है कि एक्चुअली उसने पेपर भी पब्लिश कर लिया, उसका स्टडी भी हो गया, उसको फंडिंग भी मिल गई। तो ये ऐसे बहुत सारे सिचुएशंस होते हैं हमारी सोसाइटी में, लेकिन एज अ एजुकेशनल रिसर्चर और एज अ रिसर्चर इन कॉमन, जब भी हम लोग कोई प्रोजेक्ट बनाएं तो उसको हमारे इंस्टीट्यूशन में एक इंडिपेंडेंट रिव्यू कमेटी होनी चाहिए जो कि उसको असेस करे कि आपने जो साइंटिफिक स्टैंडर्ड्स हैं, एथिकल स्टैंडर्ड्स हैं, दूसरे जो उसके गुड क्वालिटी रिसर्च के जो दूसरे स्टैंडर्ड्स हो सकते हैं वो फॉलो हुए कि नहीं हुए। तो एक इंडिपेंडेंट रिव्यू बहुत जरूरी है कि जब भी हम लोग अपना कुछ दिमाग में आए रिसर्च क्वेश्चन, और हम लोग बहुत ओपन रहना चाहिए कि जो ऐसा नहीं है कि हम कभी गलती नहीं करेंगे। अगर गलती नहीं करेंगे तो लेट मी एश्योर यू दैट वी विल नॉट प्रोग्रेस। तो ऐसा होता है कि दैट वी समटाइम कंसीव अ वेरी बैड क्वेश्चन एज अ रिसर्च। अब हमको बताएगा कौन, समटाइम वी फॉल इन लव विद द रिसर्च आइडिया सो वेल कि हम सुनते ही नहीं किसी का। वी जस्ट वांट टू एग्जीक्यूट दैट प्रोजेक्ट बिकॉज वो हमारा चाइल्ड बेबी है, वो हमारा, हमने अपने इंटेलेक्चुअल उसको किया है, बनाया, तो हम लोग को लगता नहीं ये बिल्कुल गलत नहीं हो सकता। तो एक इंडिपेंडेंट रिव्यू होना बहुत जरूरी है किसी भी रिसर्च का, एक चाहे वो इंस्टीट्यूशन लेवल पे हो, चाहे डिपार्टमेंटल लेवल पे हो, या फिर वो ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के लेवल पे हो सकता है। देन कम्स द इन्फॉर्म्ड कंसेंट. Informed consent, and most of you might be knowing that how we do this. So whenever we conduct research, we must have informed consent, and then respect for potential and enrolled subject. So what happens that when we go for the enrollment of the subjects into our study, we should have a respect for the subjects. The reason is sometimes there could be researchers, there could be subjects actually jinko aap you explain them your study, they don't like it and they may say no. So we should not get actually get any kind of offense or something that, oh, he's not participating in our study or something. So we should not actually look at that in a very low manner or something. It's the subject's choice whether they want to get involved or they want to participate in your study or not, right? It's their right, and you are the one actually who need that, not the subject actually. So we should have respect for the choices made by the subjects, or and we should actually try that who participate good, people who don't participate, that's also okay. Now some of other general requirement for the research is that first one is the privacy and confidentiality. These are very important topics, even though like some other which we discussed earlier, they are okay, but these are two very important actually, and people make mistakes here. So for example, privacy and confidentiality. It happens, and we see it quite very often that the privacy of the subjects is not very protected. And the reason is that sometimes researchers, they discuss their subject. So what happens when, like the researchers, when they come back to their offices, and they start on discussing with their colleagues that, I met a subject and, he was like this, and they keep laughing, and, and they start discussing their personal responses to the questionnaire, or the way they responded to the investigator. So which is not an ideal scene at all. we should discourage that kind of practice. I know there could be certain educational lesson behind all of that, but as a researcher, we should be very careful that we should not discuss individual patients' response back to our departments or to with our students or with anybody else for that region. And we should respect their confidentiality. And then comes the professional competence. So what is happening, truly speaking, the professional competence is something which is highly compromised these days. And the reason is that everyone is doing research. You will not believe that the people who have nothing to do with the research, I mean, they are also involved in, publishing the papers or, or I've seen that they get very polluting ideas actually, and they sometimes execute it in a very bad way, and then they just publish it. So who will conduct the research? That's a very important question. So I have seen it that, like for example, let me give you examples of analyzing the data. So people who actually do not understand the data or they do not understand the underlying concepts behind the whole project, they start analyzing the data and they just do not understand that what is the right way of interpretation of a data. Data can be always interpreted in a very in a right direction, or sometimes people can take it to the direction which actually can create problems also. So you should have that professional competence that you can conduct research. Research, I mean, not for the sake of thesis or for the sake of a doctorate, for the sake of promotions or for the sake of, any other personal gain. Research should not be conducted. Research should be conducted only by the professional, competent people who actually understand the research and, they can actually perceive the harm and the loss of the research, and who has the ability to address the problem of a society in a scientific way. So it's very important. I will come to these problems in later slides also. Now, for example, there has been certain very problematic things in the history, and there are two very certain important events which happened in history, and the lessons should be learned from those, and they should be taken as a thesis study. So, when we took this pre-assessment survey, I found that there were nearly 65% people who were aware of all these issues, so which is good. But they like 30 to 40% people, they actually said they haven't heard about all these issues. So, for the sake of their knowledge, I will throw a little bit light on these experiments which actually involved the ethics in history. So the first one was the Stanford prison experiment. It happened right in August, in the same month in 1971. And another one was the Nuremberg trial, which actually addressed the ethical misconduct which happened during the World War II, and there were war crimes under the international law. And there were certain medical professionals, there were certain doctors who actually conducted the experiments on war prisoners. And they just conducted experiment in a way that which was not acceptable at all, and there was major ethical violations. About the Stanford prison experiment, to the people who don't know, I will just explain. There are
after 90 days of experiment, the value increased to 3.
Am I audible? Hello.
Sir, you are audible.
Okay, great. So what happened? Yes. So the people who really want to know more about these experiments, there are very good movies available on that. For example, on Stanford prison experiment, there is a movie called the Stanford prison experiment, released I think a few years back. Then there are 2-3 other movies also made on this. They have actually provided their views. कि किस तरह से there were certain violations happened in this. So in this particular Stanford prison experiment, Dr. Philip Zimbardo, actually, who was a psychological professor at Stanford University, so he wanted to pursue that. He wanted to understand. Actually, the project was given by the United States military to Dr. Zimbardo. And the idea was that what is the perceived power, how the perceived power impact the behavior of people in terms of, when people are actually given the positions. So he, along with his colleagues, he conducted an experiment in which there were 12 people to one group, 12 people to the another group, and they were actually made a prison into their own department during the summer, during the vacation period, and people were kept in a very not so nice conditions, like 6 to 9 feet cell, and they were even picked up from their home. जैसे अगर आपने चोरी की हो, पुलिस आपके घर पे आए, उठा के ले जाए, तो इस तरह से उन्होंने बहुत रियलिस्टिक उसको बनाया, और इतना रियलिस्टिक बना दिया कि प्रॉब्लम ये हुई कि जो गार्ड्स थे, जिनको गार्ड का रोल मिला था, who were just supposed to, जिनको केवल गार्ड का रोल करना था, तो वो रोल के साथ में जो they start perceiving the power and started doing atrocities or the behavior which was not acceptable to the subjects who were doing the role of a prisoner. जैसे कि उनको भीगा कर नहला देना, उनको कपड़े उतार देना, उनके बिस्तर हटा देना, उनको रात रात भर जगा के रखना, उनको बुरी तरह से बांध के रखना, गैस यूज करना, फायर एक्सटिंग्विशर उनके ऊपर यूज किए गार्ड्स ने, ये सब एक बनावटी सेटिंग में हुआ। तो उससे क्या हुआ, और इम्पॉर्टेंट थिंग इज कि जो उसके लीड इन्वेस्टिगेटर थे प्रोफेसर जिम्बार्डो, उन्होंने ये सब रिकॉर्ड हो रहा था, ये सब टेलीविजन पे रिकॉर्ड किया उन्होंने, और इन्होंने ऑडियो रिकॉर्ड्स किए, और उनको दिख रहा था कि ऐसा हो रहा है, बट ही डिडंट स्टॉप इट टू द लेवल की जो प्रिजनर्स, जो स्टूडेंट थे 21 22 साल के, उनके ऊपर इतना एट्रोसिटीज हुआ कि लोगों को एक्चुअली दे हैड टू, बाद में उनको स्टडी किया गया कि क्या उनके ऊपर कोई साइकोलॉजिकल इम्पैक्ट तो नहीं हुआ है, बट लकीली कोई भी उनमें से बहुत ज्यादा साइकोलॉजिकली इम्पैक्ट नहीं हुए। बट रिसर्चर ने, जो लीड रिसर्चर था, उनका काम था उसको रोकना, उनको इस तरह के अनएथिकल बिहेवियर में ना इन्वॉल्व होना, जिसके लिए उनका बहुत ज्यादा नाम भी खराब हुआ, और उनकी पूरी जो रिसर्च है, लोग उस पर बोलने लगे कि नहीं ये तो बहुत अनएथिकल है, यू कैन नॉट एक्सेप्ट इट। तो ये इस तरह के कुछ हिस्ट्री में बहुत है इश्यूज जो आपको पता पढ़ें अगर आप, तो आपको इंटरेस्ट आएगा और आपका पर्सपेक्टिव भी बनेगा कि वेदर थिंग्स वर राइट और रॉन्ग। बिकॉज कई बारी हम लोग को ये भी अपॉर्चुनिटी मिलनी चाहिए कि हम उनको कैसे परसीव करते हैं, और वी कंसिडर देम एज अ राइट थिंग और रॉन्ग थिंग। जैसे कि हमने अपने सर्वे में देखा, जो हमने प्री असेसमेंट सर्वे किया, कि उसके अंदर बहुत सारे पार्टिसिपेंट्स जो हैं उनको वो शायद समझ नहीं पाते, लेकिन उनका कहना है कि हमको बहुत ज्यादा रिसर्च, ये मोरल इश्यूज के पीछे पढ़ना नहीं चाहिए, एथिक्स के पीछे पढ़ना नहीं चाहिए, हमको बस रिसर्च करनी चाहिए। नियरली 30-40% है, ज्यादा नहीं है, बट है एक बड़ा मात्रा। तो मैं ये कहूंगा कि ये दिस इज अ बिट, मैं कहूँगा उनको थोड़ा सा we should actually educate our researchers more, so that actually they can understand what is the gravity when you violate ethical standards of research। मतलब उसका कितना नुकसान हो सकता है, और ये नुकसान आप पार्टिसिपेंट्स को हो सकता है, साथ में ये आपको खुद के करियर को भी हो सकता है। और कई बार ऐसा होता है कि अगर आपको सीरियस एथिकल वायलेशन हुआ आपकी स्टडी में, तो हो सकता है कि ICSSR, ICMR या इस तरह की जो एजेंसीज हैं जो फंडिंग देती हैं, DBT देती है, वो आपको फंड देने ना दें बिकॉज ऑफ द एथिकल इश्यूज यू हैड प्रीवियसली। अब ऐसा हो जाता है कई बार, हम नहीं चाहते थे बट हो गया। सो बट समस्या ये है कि जो इस तरह के रेगुलेशंस होते हैं, गाइडलाइंस होती हैं, उनमें तब पता चलता है जब ये हो जाता है, और उस सिनेरियो में बहुत बारी आप बड़े अजीब सी परिस्थिति में होते हैं, ना तो आप एक्सेप्ट कर सकते हैं, ना पूरी तरह से उनको ठुकरा सकते हो अपने रिजल्ट्स को। तो ये बहुत केयरफुल रहने की बात है। नाउ देयर आर सर्टेन रिस्पांसिबिलिटीज जो कि पार्टिसिपेंट्स की तरफ हैं, स्पॉन्सर्स के लिए हैं, एजुकेशनल कम्युनिटी के लिए है, मतलब और वो उन ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के लिए भी है जिनके यहाँ ये रिसर्च होती है। तो जैसे हम लोग बात करते हैं अभी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी टू पार्टिसिपेंट्स की, कि जो हमारी पार्टिसिपेंट्स के लिए जो हमारी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटीज है वो क्या है, कि जो स्टडी सब्जेक्ट्स हमारे स्टडी के अंदर हमने लिए हैं, उनको उनका जो ट्रीटमेंट है बहुत ही फेयर होना चाहिए, बहुत सेंसिटिवली होना चाहिए, और डिग्निटी होनी चाहिए, है ना। जैसे कि अगर हम लोग कहीं किसी ट्राइबल एरिया के अंदर या कहीं ऐसे एरिया में जहाँ लो एजुकेशन लेवल है, अगर हम वहाँ कोई एजुकेशनल मेथड इम्प्लाई करते हैं, कुछ वहाँ पे टेस्ट करते हैं, या कोई हमने अपना क्वेश्चनर दिया, हमारा इन्वेस्टिगेटर गया, रिसर्चर गया, उसने कोई क्वेश्चन पूछा, एक्सक्यूज मी, उन्होंने कोई क्वेश्चन पूछा आपसे, आपने उनसे कोई क्वेश्चन पूछा सब्जेक्ट से, स्टूडेंट से, जो कि बहुत बेचारे उनको उतना लेवल नहीं होता एजुकेशन का, अब वो समझ नहीं पा रहे हैं। अब अगर समझ नहीं पा रहे हैं तो आप उनको बोले कि नहीं अरे तुम क्या पढ़े लिखे हो, समझ नहीं पा रहे हो, तो इस तरह की जो ये डिग्निटी को हर्ट करने वाली चीज है, ये सब भी रिसर्चर्स को बहुत सेंसिटिव रहना चाहिए। पीपल कम विद अ डाइवर्स बैकग्राउंड, राइट? It's good that many of us they can be very highly privileged, they might come from a good family, they might come from a background जहाँ पे सब कुछ बढ़िया बढ़िया था, लेकिन बहुत जगह ऐसे भी होता है कि उनको वो अपॉर्चुनिटी नहीं मिलती है जस्ट बिकॉज दे आर लोकेटेड, वो ऐसी जगह पे है। तो कभी भी हम अगर ऐसे सब्जेक्ट के साथ में काम करें या कोई ऐसे एजुकेशनल रिसर्च करें जिसमें सब्जेक्ट बहुत डिसएडवांटेज वाली पोजीशन पे है, तो उसका जो ट्रीटमेंट है वो हमको बहुत रिस्पेक्टफुल करना चाहिए, उसकी डिग्निटी और सेंसिटिविटी है वो एक्सपेरिमेंट की वो मेंटेन करना चाहिए हमको। देन आल्सो द फ्रीडम फ्रॉम प्रेजुडिस, मतलब जो प्रेजुडिस से फ्रीडम है वो भी रहनी चाहिए, और उनके जो राइट्स और जो डिफरेंसेस हैं जो कि किसी भी चीज की वजह से हो सकते हैं, जैसे उसकी एज क्या है, उसका सेक्स क्या है, उसकी सेक्सुअलिटी क्या है, उसकी एथनिसिटी क्या है, वो किस रिलीजन से है, कैसी उसकी कल्चरल आइडेंटिटी है, वो कैसे कपड़े पहनता है, कैसा पॉलिटिकल सोचता है, तो इन सब चीजों को जो हमारा रिसर्चर है जो रिसर्च कर रहा है, जिसको एक एक्सपेरिमेंट करना है, उनको इन सब चीज की बायस से बहुत दूर रहना चाहिए। इट्स नॉट इजी, राइट? बिकॉज वी आर अ ह्यूमन, और हम लोग भी उसमें ड्रैग हो जाते हैं स्टडी में बहुत ज्यादा। तो जो इस तरह के इश्यूज रहते हैं उन पे हमको बहुत क्लियरली अपना स्टैंड बना के रखना चाहिए, वी शुड नॉट गेट डेविएटेड, और हो सके तो कई बारी जो हमारे रिसर्चर्स हैं उनको हम एक वॉश आउट पीरियड भी देना चाहिए, है ना? जैसे कि ताकि वॉश आउट मतलब क्या होता है कि जैसे वो कहाँ से, फॉर एग्जाम्पल किसी का अपना कुछ एक मेंटल स्टेट हो सकता है, उसके सोचने की, समझने की, उसकी परसीव करने की चीजें बिकॉज ऑफ देयर बैकग्राउंड, तो जब वो फील्ड में जाते हैं तो फील्ड में उनको किस तरह से वो उनका जो प्रीवियस ओवरऑल पर्सनालिटी है वो फील्ड को अफेक्ट न करे, सब्जेक्ट को अफेक्ट न करे, तो उसके लिए उनका एक वॉश आउट होता है कि उनको ट्रेनिंग दी जा सकती है या उनको हम थोड़ा रिलैक्स कर सकते हैं। इस तरह की बहुत सारी चीजें हैं जो कि हम वी कैन ट्राई एक्चुअली टू इंश्योर कि हमारे पार्टिसिपेंट की जो रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है वो हम अच्छे से पूरा कर रहे हैं उसको। इसमें कुछ एथिकल एस्पेक्ट्स ऐसे भी होते हैं जो कि स्पॉन्सर्स की जिम्मेदारी होती है, स्टेक होल्डर्स की रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी होती है जो रिसर्च में इन्वेस्ट कर रहे होते हैं। तो कोई भी आदमी जो कि रिसर्च के ऑब्जेक्टिव्स में इंटरेस्ट रखता है या उसकी सक्सेस फेलियर पे डिपेंड करता है, स्टडी की फेलियर क्या है या सक्सेस है, तो वो स्पॉन्सर को अगर अफेक्ट करता है तो वो तो हमारी क्या रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटीज होनी चाहिए। जैसे फॉर एग्जाम्पल, जैसे आपको कोई एक ऐसा प्रोडक्ट है जो बच्चों के लिए, जो छोटे बच्चों की क्लासरूम्स के लिए है बनाया, ठीक है, तो कोई प्राइवेट कंपनी आपको उसमें पैसा दे रही है कि आप ये रिसर्च करिए, हम फंड करेंगे। तो अब रिसर्चर को कई बार ऐसा प्रेशराइज करते हैं कि नहीं, आपको दिखाना है कि जो हमारा ये नया मॉड्यूलर क्लासरूम है, जो ये हमारी मॉडर्न टेक्नोलॉजी है, बच्चा बहुत सीख रहा है, या हमारा जो पर्टिकुलर नया ऐप आया है, बच्चे को इसमें बहुत इंटरेस्ट है, या ये से बच्चे की लर्निंग एबिलिटी बढ़ जाती है। तो इस तरह के जो ये स्पॉन्सर्ड प्रोजेक्ट्स हैं उनमें हम अपने आप को एज ए रिसर्चर, हमें अपनी सैंक्टिटी, हमें अपनी मतलब जो हमारे अपनी एक सैंक्टिटी होती है वो मेंटेन रखनी चाहिए। हमें बहुत ज्यादा इन्वॉल्व नहीं होना चाहिए कि वो उसको अच्छा दिखाना है या उसको बुरा दिखाना है। एज ए रिसर्चर हमें केवल वही दिखाना है जो सच है, so that that can actually that will benefit the society, or that will have the research or the sponsor also, but they are sometimes उनका इंटरेस्ट कॉमर्शियल होता है। तो ऐसे बहुत सारे चीजें हैं वो होता है। और दूसरा जो उनकी कुछ रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी जो फंडिंग एजेंसी की होती है वो है, जैसे कि जो भी उन्होंने रिसर्च फंड की है उस रिसर्च को ओपनली उनको अपनी वेबसाइट पे डालना चाहिए। अगर कोई कंपनी कोई रिसर्च को फंड करती है तो उस रिसर्च के क्या रिजल्ट आए हैं वो उनको पब्लिकली डिस्क्लोज करने चाहिए, ठीक है। और जो रिसर्चर्स हैं उनको भी कोशिश करनी चाहिए कि जो फंडिंग एजेंसी है, कोई यूनिवर्सिटी है, कोई जैसे बहुत बार ऐसे होता है जो एजुकेशनल रिसर्चर है या जो हमारी यूनिवर्सिटी सेटिंग्स के अंदर काम करने वाले लोग हैं वो जानते हैं कि बहुत बारी आप देखेंगे तो वो क्या करेंगे कि जो टाइम्स किसी भी न्यूज़पेपर में एक बहुत बड़ा ऐड आएगा कि उनका यूनिवर्सिटी, उनका इंस्टीट्यूशन, उनका XYZ कोर्स है वो दुनिया का नंबर 1 है, वो रीजन का पूरा नंबर 1 है, इंडिया के अंदर नंबर 1 है, एंड इट्स हाईली इन्फ्लुएंस्ड। वो एक्चुअली जो एजेंसी कर रही है उसको इतना हाईली इन्फ्लुएंस करते हैं कि वो फर्स्ट सेकंड थर्ड पोजीशन चाहे जो ले सकते हैं। तो इस तरह से जो भी फंडिंग एजेंसी है उसका जो एथिक्स है इस तरह के, उनको एडियर करना चाहिए। हमको मतलब नहीं है कि नहीं, हमें इतना उनको फ्रीडम देनी चाहिए फंडिंग एजेंसी को कि वो डिसाइड करें कि आपके रिजल्ट कैसे होंगे, आपकी हाइपोथेसिस कैसी होगी, आप एनालाइज कैसे करें डेटा को, आप इंटरप्रेट कैसे करें। ये उनका काम नहीं है, ये एज ए रिसर्चर आपका काम है, ठीक है ना। और इसके अलावा जैसे कॉन्फ्लिक्ट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट भी होता है, ठीक है, उसको भी हमको ध्यान में रखना चाहिए। अगर आपका उस कंपनी का, उस फंडिंग एजेंसी का, उस जो भी आपको पैसे दे रहा है रिसर्च कंडक्ट करने के लिए, अगर आपका और उनका कुछ कोई बिजनेस है, आपका उनका कोई कॉमन शेयर्ड इंटरेस्ट है, तो आपको वो रिसर्च में बता देना चाहिए कि ठीक है, हम जो ये रिसर्च कंडक्ट कर रहे हैं इसमें वी हैव दिस शेयर्ड इंटरेस्ट, वी हैव दिस शेयर्ड कॉमन थिंग्स जिनको हम प्रमोट करते हैं। सो वी शुड बी वेरी क्लियर, एजेंसी को भी क्लियर होना चाहिए, रिसर्चर्स को भी क्लियर होना चाहिए। और ये पेपर्स में भी हमको बताना पड़ता है, जब भी हम रिसर्च पेपर पब्लिश करते हैं तो हमारा पैसा कहाँ से आया, फंड का ग्रांट नंबर क्या था, और उनका क्या रोल था, या उनके कौन कौन से लोग शामिल थे, वो हमको बताना चाहिए, रिसर्च पेपर्स में लिखना चाहिए, थीसिस में लिखना चाहिए। रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटीज टू द कम्युनिटी ऑफ एजुकेशनल रिसर्चर्स। अब जब हम लोग इतनी सारी रिसर्च की बात करते हैं तो जो हमारे पीयर्स हैं, जो हमारे साथ के लोग हैं, जो और भी लोग रिसर्च करते हैं, उनके भी कुछ रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटीज होते हैं। जैसे अगर एजुकेशनल रिसर्चर्स हैं तो इंडिया में 1500, 200, 2000, 4000, 5000 हो सकते हैं रिसर्चर्स, तो उनकी भी कुछ रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटीज हैं कि एथिक्स के लिए। जैसे कि कम्युनिटी, ऑल एजुकेशनल रिसर्चर्स, यू नो, they just contribute to the community spirit of critical analysis। जैसे कि जब भी हम किसी दूसरे रिसर्चर्स की रिसर्च को पढ़ते हैं तो हमें उसमें क्रिटिकल और कंस्ट्रक्टिव क्रिटिसिज्म देने की जरूरत है, और न कि उसमें क्या खामियां हैं ऑल टाइम वो बताने की, या खामियां बताएंगे तो भी हम उनको इस तरह से बताना चाहिए ताकि वो इम्प्रूव करें। तो ये हमारे कई बार ही ऐसा होता है कि आपने कुछ रिसर्च करी तो हमें लगता है वो गलत है, तो हम एक दूसरा अल्टरनेटिव हम भी चालू कर देते हैं उसको गलत बताने के लिए। तो इस तरह का क्रिटिसिज्म नहीं है करना चाहिए, बल्कि हमारी जो एथिकल रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी वो ये है कि हमें जो इस तरह के रिसर्च जो होती है उसका कैसे कंस्ट्रक्टिव क्रिटिसिज्म दें, वो ज्यादा जरूरी है, बिकॉज अल्टीमेटली वो सब नॉलेज को एनहांस करेगा और प्रैक्टिस को इम्प्रूव करेगा आपके अपने सेक्टर में, आपके अपने फील्ड में। दूसरा एक बहुत कंटेंशियस इशू है कि पब्लिकेशन और डिसेमिनेशन कैसे होना चाहिए। तो जो भी हम रिसर्च करते हैं, पहली बात तो ये हमारी एथिक्स में आता है कि हम जैसे भी रिजल्ट आए, चाहे अच्छे आए चाहे बुरे आए, और दे आर रियली पीपल आर गोना लाइक इट और दे आर जस्ट नॉट गोइंग टू रीड इट, दैट शुड नॉट बी आवर कंसर्न एट ऑल। हमारा कंसर्न होना चाहिए कि हमको जो मिला है वो हम अपने कम्युनिटी में, हम अपने रिसर्चर्स के बीच में हमारे को केवल प्रेजेंट करना है। And how people judge that, what people draw the inference out of that, that's not our concern. So whatever we do, we must publish that work, right? We should disseminate the information to the respective agencies. हमारे अगर हमने कोई ऐसी रिसर्च करी है जो आपको लगता है कि for example that can affect the way children are taught or the way children, you know, they are being taken care, तो हो सकता है उस रिसर्च को हम लोग मिनिस्ट्रीज को भेज सकते हैं जो चाइल्ड के इश्यूज को डील करती हैं, एडोलसेंट्स के इश्यूज को डील करती हैं। तो ऐसे करके जितना पॉसिबल हो हमको पब्लिश करना चाहिए उसको। एक बहुत कंटेंशियस इशू है ऑथरशिप डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन का, तो उसमें बहुत एथिकल रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है, और जो हमारा उसके अंदर गोल्ड स्टैंडर्ड ये है कि जिसने भी सब्सटेंशियली एक उचित मात्रा में अगर किसी ने भी आपके रिसर्च वर्क में सहयोग किया है, भले चाहे वो उसने लिटरेचर सर्च किया हो, या उसने आपके डेटा की एंट्री की हो, या उसने आपको डेटा कलेक्शन में हेल्प की है, या वो आपका उसने कोई बहुत क्रिटिकल इनपुट्स दिए हैं, आपको हाइपोथेसिस बनाने में हेल्प करी उसने, रिसर्च को में उसने हो सकता है आपको रिसोर्स प्रोवाइड किया हो, तो या उसने आपके लिए इन्फ्रेंसेस ड्रॉ किए हो, लिखवाए हो, उनको आपकी मैन्युस्क्रिप्ट लिखी हो सकता है उसने मैन्युस्क्रिप्ट को रीराइट किया हो। तो ऐसे सभी केसेस में अगर हमको लगता है कि उसका एक उचित कंट्रीब्यूशन है तो हमको उसको ऑथरशिप देनी चाहिए अपने पेपर्स में, बिकॉज अल्टीमेटली इससे आपका जो एक एजुकेशनल कोलैबोरेशन है वो बढ़ता है, और आपकी जो एक एथिकल रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है वो भी पूरी होती है। कई बार ये ऐसा होता है कि कुछ कंट्रीब्यूटर्स होते हैं जो कि बहुत अच्छे से कंट्रीब्यूट करते हैं, लेकिन किसी रीजन की वजह से उनकी आपसी उनके आपस में कुछ मतभेद हो सकते हैं, तो नाम नहीं लेते। तो ऐसा नहीं करना चाहिए, हमको रिसर्च अलग रखनी चाहिए और हमारे जो दूसरी चीजें हैं वो हमको थोड़ा सेपरेट रखना चाहिए। सो दिस इज अ वेरी कंटेंशियस इशू, बट इट हैज टू बी डिसाइडेड बाय द प्रिंसिपल इन्वेस्टिगेटर इन्वॉल्व टू द रिसर्च। इसके अलावा हमारे रिसर्चर्स के वेलबींग की भी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है, किसकी है? वो ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस की है। जैसे बहुत बारी हम लोग ऐसी रिसर्च करते हैं जो कि खुद बहुत अफेक्ट कर सकती है जो रिसर्च कर रहा है उसको। जैसे कि मैंने ऐसे देखा है, और मेरा यहाँ पे एक एक्सपीरियंस हमारे यहाँ पे है कि अनऑर्गेनाइज सेक्टर के आपके मुरादाबाद में ही, हाँ, आपके मुरादाबाद में ही जो है वो उधर एक कुछ ई वेस्ट रिसाइकलिंग का बहुत काम होता है, जहाँ पे यूनिवर्सिटी आई थिंक द सेम सिटी उधर ही है कहीं पे। तो ई साइक्लिंग का जो ई वेस्ट का जो रिसाइकलिंग का वर्क है वो पूरी कंप्लीटली अनऑर्गेनाइज्ड है। और अगर आप उनकी प्रॉब्लम्स को स्टडी करना चाहते हैं सोशली, साइकोलॉजिकली, या कुछ आप एजुकेशनल एक्सपेरिमेंट कर रहे हैं वहाँ उन छोटे बच्चों के लिए, तो वो बहुत मुश्किल है वहाँ करना। और वो पॉपुलेशन भी ऐसी है कि वो बहुत रिस्की हो सकती है। सो इट्स वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट कि आप उस तरह के जब कभी इन्वॉल्वमेंट में जाएं तो ये एजुकेशन की रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है कि वो रिसर्चर्स के वेलफेयर को प्रोटेक्ट करें। प्रोफेशनल कॉम्पिटेंस के बारे में हमने बात करी थी, तो उसमें द इम्पॉर्टेंट थिंग इज दैट जो कौन है प्रोफेशनल कॉम्पिटेंसी, कैसे डिसाइड किया जाएगा। So, principle of professional competence whereby the research is conducted at all times by competent and qualified person who act with total integrity and impartiality, and who have been made aware of, mindful of, preferable training, ethical consideration, और जिनको इस तरह के एक्सपेरिमेंट करने का एक एक्सपीरियंस है, तो वो लोग को प्रोफेशनल कॉम्पिटेंस कह सकते हैं। उनके पास एजुकेशन होनी चाहिए प्रॉपर, उनके पास प्रॉपर रिसर्च का एक्सपीरियंस होना चाहिए, और उनके पास प्रॉपर सुपरविजन होना चाहिए, उनकी ट्रेनिंग्स पूरी होनी चाहिए। तो वो हम कह सकते हैं कि वो व्यक्ति ही इज अ प्रोफेशनल कॉम्पिटेंट पर्सन टू कैरी आउट रिसर्च इन अ पर्टिकुलर डोमेन। अब कुछ इश्यूज ऐसे भी हैं जो डेटा इंटेग्रिटी को लेके हैं, वो भी बहुत एथिकल अम्ब्रेला में आते हैं कि जो हमारी डेटा, जब भी हम लोग कोई डेटा कलेक्शन करते हैं तो जो हमारा डेटा है वो एक्यूरेट और करेक्ट होना चाहिए, एकदम वैलिड होना चाहिए। कई बार हम लोग डेटा इकट्ठा करते हैं, उसको बहुत बुरी तरह से हम लोग बहुत अनऑर्गेनाइज्ड वे से उसको इकट्ठा करेंगे, फिर उसको काट पीट करेंगे उसके अंदर, ये सब नहीं कर सकते। एथिकल उसमें ऑब्लिगेशन होता है हमारा, डेटा को बहुत प्रॉपरली आपको रिकॉर्ड करना है और उसको स्टोर।
Sir, please unmute yourself.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So बहुत बारी ऐसा होता है कि there are data integrity issues. Data integrity can come actually in multiple forms, such as data accuracy of the data, correctness of the data, validity of the data. These all are responsibility of the researcher or the principal investigator or the faculty who is conducting research. तो उसकी accuracy है, consistency है store data की, वो maintain रहनी चाहिए। डेटा का जो एक एश्योरेंस जनरेट करना कि डेटा अनचेंज नहीं है, और जब से क्रिएट किया गया तब से लेके जो डेटा रिसीव हुआ किसी एंड पे, किसी सर्वर पे, किसी डिपार्टमेंटल कंप्यूटर्स पे, तो उन एक इस तरह का हमको टेक्निकल इन्वायरमेंट क्रिएट करना है जिसमें कि डेटा की इंटेग्रिटी को हम लोग प्रोटेक्ट कर सकते हैं। इसके बहुत मल्टीपल फेसेट्स हैं, बहुत सारे इसके एस्पेक्ट्स हैं। इस आज के टॉक में तो नहीं हम लोग कवर कर सकते, बट ये बहुत कंटेंशियस इशू है और बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट इशू है एक्चुअली। Then comes the statistical perspective. बहुत सारे जितने भी हमारे रिसर्च होती है उसके अंदर आपने देखा कि वो लोग बहुत सारा भर भर के स्टैटिस्टिकल यूटिलाइजेशन करते हैं उसमें। तो उसमें बहुत सारे रिसर्चर्स जो ट्रेन नहीं है वो भी स्टैटिस्टिकल एनालिसिस करने उसको में इन्वॉल्व होते हैं। आपको बता दें कि जो स्टैटिस्टिकल इन्वॉल्वमेंट है स्टडी के अंदर वो बहुत क्रूशियल है, बिकॉज that is going to generate the evidence from your study, right? So correct or proper ways of conducting an statistical investigation is crucial, and it has to be also governed by the it has to be governed by the ethical guidelines. जैसे कि हमारे उसमें ethical guidelines in statistics, they aim to promote accountability by informing those who rely on statistical analysis of the standards that they should respect. और second क्या है, they are the foundation of building a more informed society. जो भी आप डेटा के कंक्लूजन्स निकालते हो, उनसे आप एजुकेशनल के कोई एक्सपेरिमेंट करते हो, कोई रिसर्च करते हो, उससे जो फाइंडिंग्स आती हैं वो फाइंडिंग्स अल्टीमेटली सोसाइटी को शेप करती है, एजुकेशन सिस्टम को शेप करती है. तो हम लोग को बहुत ध्यान रखना चाहिए दैट व्हाटएवर द कंक्लूजन्स वी आर ड्राइंग, वो जो स्टैटिस्टिकल कॉन्सेप्ट्स हैं उसके वो बहुत वैलिड हैं और प्रॉपर हैं, और जैसे गाइडलाइंस में बोले गए हैं उस तरह से उनको ड्रॉ किया गया है. Because society, it depends on informed judgments supported by statistical methods, और all the practitioners of statistics, वो किसी भी occupation में हो सकते हैं, कुछ भी काम कर सकते हैं, तो they should conduct the statistical analysis in a very ethical manner. कभी ऐसा नहीं करना चाहिए कि अगर हम कुछ ऑब्जर्वेशन ऐसे हैं जो कि स्टडी को थोड़ा सा उनके रिजल्ट को अल्टर करते हैं, तो उनको हम हटा दिया, कुछ रोज डिलीट कर दी, कुछ ऐड कर दी, कुछ डेटा अपने मन से लगा दिया. हमने सोचा अच्छा इस सब्जेक्ट में ऐसे बनी, ऐसे है, तो इसका ओपिनियन ऐसा रहा होगा, तो हमने डेटा करेक्ट कर दिया. तो ये सब नहीं करना है उसके अंदर बिल्कुल भी, बिकॉज इनके बहुत सेट रूल्स रेगुलेशंस हैं, स्टैटिस्टिकल गाइडलाइंस हैं, तो उनको फॉलो करना चाहिए और उनके बारे में अवेयर रहना चाहिए. अब हम लोग बात करते हैं कि दूसरे ऐसे कौन सी गाइडलाइंस रेगुलेशन है जो कि एजुकेशनल रिसर्च को गवर्न करती है. मैंने बहुत सारा आई रियली लुक्ड इनटू मल्टीपल डॉक्यूमेंट. तो what I realized that there are not very professional guidelines available in our country for specifically for educational research, but there are certain very good guidelines or regulation which we should follow. उनमें से एक है बेरा की गाइडलाइंस जो कि ब्रिटिश की है. इसके अलावा और भी हैं, स्कॉटिश है, अमेरिकन है, बट मुझे लगा शायद they are very good actually, बेरा गाइडलाइंस, तो उनको कर सकते हैं. सेकेंडली जो एक ओवरऑल गवर्न करते हैं रिसर्च की क्वालिटी को, वो है हमारी यूजीसी की गाइडलाइंस गुड एकेडमिक रिसर्च प्रैक्टिसेस. उनको हम लोग रेफर कर सकते हैं. रिमेंबर ये सब गाइडलाइंस हैं, जरूरी नहीं रेगुलेशन है. इसके अलावा हमारे पास इंटरनेट पे भी जो रिसर्च करते हैं उसके लिए भी गाइडलाइंस हैं. अब हम लोग बात करते हैं कि जो हम लोग प्रोटोकॉल्स बनाते हैं कभी, तो उन प्रोटोकॉल्स में या रिसर्च के डॉक्यूमेंट्स में हम लोग को जो इन्फॉर्म कंसेंट है, बिकॉज अल्टीमेटली जो एथिकल एस्पेक्ट्स हैं वो हमारे रिसर्च में कहाँ पे एक्चुअली उनको प्लेस करना चाहिए, कहाँ पे वो आने चाहिए हमारे रिसर्च के डॉक्यूमेंट में. तो I will tell you certain places in for research document जहाँ पे कि ये सब आपको कंसेंट के बारे में you need to inform people. For example, informed consent, it should come into the inclusion criteria. Document which जिस जगह पे हम लोग we talk about screening and baseline methods, measurement evaluation, उधर आना चाहिए. Ethical regulatory aspect में section में we need to mention this. And then confidentiality of study documents and subjects records. ये वो 3 से 4 जगह which I find very common जहाँ पे informed consent का description रहता है, वर्णन रहता है, बहुत डिटेल में लोग बताते हैं उसको वहाँ पे. जैसे एक मैंने आपको एग्जांपल के तौर पे बताया है, जैसे इंक्लूजन क्राइटेरिया जो है वो जहाँ पे लिखें तो the first thing should be consent. So, for example, here it demonstrates understanding of the study and willingness to participate as evidenced by the voluntarily written informed consent. देखो written informed consent तो हम ले सकते हैं किसी को मार पीट के प्रेशराइज करके कुछ लोग दे के ऐसा we can do all that, लेकिन कैसे voluntarily, तो हम लोग को voluntarily रखना है. दूसरी जगह जहाँ पे हम स्क्रीनिंग करते हैं सब्जेक्ट्स की, वहाँ पे भी हमको बताना है कि इन्फॉर्म कंसेंट के बारे में हमारे पूरा डिस्क्रिप्शन होना चाहिए डॉक्यूमेंट में. Secondly is the ethical and regulatory aspect. If you see here, then the responsibility of it's the responsibility of the investigator of designing to obtain the informed consent. और फिर ये इंस्टीट्यूशनल रिव्यू बोर्ड या एथिक्स कमिटी है, उसके वहां पे भी हमको ये मेंशन करना चाहिए. एट द लास्ट जो हमारा कॉन्फिडेंशियलिटी ऑफ स्टडी डॉक्यूमेंट्स है, सब्जेक्ट रिकॉर्ड है, उस सेक्शन में भी हमको करना चाहिए, क्योंकि जो कन्फर्म्स जो हमारे रिटन कंसेंट फॉर्म्स होते हैं उनको हमको बहुत संभाल के रखना पड़ता है. और कम से कम 5 साल तो हमको बहुत ध्यान रखना चाहिए कि कोई भी स्टडी का डॉक्यूमेंट, कोई भी हमारा क्वेश्चनियर, कोई भी हमारे पीएचडी का डॉक्यूमेंट जो कि रिसर्च से संबंधित हो सकता है, वो नोट्स जो है वो आपके प्रिजर्व होने चाहिए कम से कम 5 साल तक, इंक्लूडिंग कंसेंट फॉर्म. कंसेंट फॉर्म आपके पास जरूर होना चाहिए. कभी कभी इश्यूज आ जाते हैं, इंक्वायरीज होती हैं, देन आपके पास पूरा चांस होना चाहिए कि आप अपना इन्फॉर्म कंसेंट दिखा सकें. अब बात है कि like how to obtain the informed consent. So informed consent actually it should be given by the patient with a local practice. जैसा भी वहाँ पे local practice in the sense that आप उसको बैठा के आराम से जो भी उनका एक कम्युनिटी का तरीका हो सकता है वैसे आप ले सकते हैं. रिटन में लेना चाहिए. दूसरा क्या है, अगर मान लो कोई पढ़ा लिखा नहीं है तो उसका थंब प्रिंट लेना चाहिए विद वन विटनेस. Just hold on for a second. Yes. यस, बहुत सारी सिचुएशन में ऐसा होता है कि हमारा जो सब्जेक्ट होता है वो पढ़ा लिखा नहीं होता है, तो उसमें हमको थंब प्रिंट लेना चाहिए, लेकिन एक विटनेस होना चाहिए उसमें. कभी कभी एडोलसेंट्स होते हैं, उनका कंसेंट लेना चाहिए. लेने के टाइम पे पेरेंट्स को भी इन्वॉल्व करना चाहिए. So this was all which I wanted to share. अब अगर आपके कोई क्वेश्चंस हैं तो हम लोग we can actually take those questions. Dr. Jain and Ruby, I think this was all which I wanted to say. If there are questions, we can address that.
Yes. Archana, ma'am?
Yes, sir. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you so much for your shower of knowledge to take us in the reign of education, and each drop of water enhance our capability and make us a complete scholar with proper etiquettes in research process. Thank you so much. Now this is the time for the next honor for us with the presence of Dr. Swati Joshi, Assistant Professor of Life Science, Central University, Gujarat. Are you there?
Dr. Rachna, I mean, if there are any questions, I can take the questions or answer.
Yes,
Do you
yes,
think
yes.
of any questions? Can you please check the chat box if anyone might have the.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just a minute, I will check and let you know.
Yes. If participants they have a question, they can post. वो लोग अपना chat window में लिख सकते हैं अगर उनका ethics point of view से कोई question है तो, so that we can answer that actually.
Dear participants, if you are having any type of query, please write in the chat box. So I can convey your message to Dr. Mishra.
Or if they want to ask a question, they can unmute themselves. आप अपना unmute करके directly भी पूछ सकते हो अगर आपको अगर कुछ ऐसा है तो.
नमस्कार सर.
Namaste.
I think, sir, your
प्रश्न ये है
session
सर.
was really informative.
Oh.
So here is one.
Okay. Please
Hello?
go ahead.
सर मेरा प्रश्न ये है कि समाजशास्त्र की मैं टीचर हूँ, तो कई बार विषय के चयन में ये समस्या आती है सर कि ऐसा लगता है कि ये विषय राजनीति का है, ये विषय तो अर्थशास्त्र का है, इस विषय का चयन मैं करूं कि नहीं। जैसे कि मान लीजिए एक क्षेत्र विशेष की राजनीतिक परिस्थिति का अध्ययन मैं समाजशास्त्र में करना चाहती हूँ, या किसी जगह की अर्थव्यवस्था का अध्ययन करना चाहती हूँ, तो मुझे लगता है कि ये विषय तो अर्थशास्त्र वाले का है, इसको मैं अपने स्टूडेंट को कैसे दे सकती हूँ। तो ये कैसे हम चयन करें या तय करें सर कि यह विषय मैं कर सकती हूँ या नहीं कर सकती हूँ।
Right. So actually, this is an important question. Actually, it has multiple dimensions to this. The reason is, if you look at the science these days, it has multiple dimensions and it is interdisciplinary, which means I as a statistician, or me as a social scientist, me as a medical researcher, if we want to conduct a research, then it should include multiple other research questions which might be not my expertise, right? For example, a medical doctor, sometimes a medical researcher, they want to study HIV. Now, HIV is a social issue, right? It has economic aspects also because this affects their expenditure. And it has a social, economic, and medical aspect. So, but I am not but I may be a different kind of educationist, right? I am a teacher, or I have a different domain of expertise. So how to conduct research in that area? So what you should do, that this is the era जहाँ पे collaboration का बहुत importance है, right? जैसे मैं रिसर्च करता हूँ, तो मेरे साथ रिसर्च टीम में सोशियोलॉजिस्ट भी होते हैं, डॉक्टर्स भी होते हैं, इंफॉर्मेशन टेक्नोलॉजिस्ट भी होते हैं, क्योंकि कोई भी रिसर्च आज की डेट में, फॉर एग्जांपल मैं कोई ऑनलाइन स्टडी कंडक्ट कर रहा हूँ जिसमें कि हम जाते तो सब्जेक्ट के पास है, लेकिन उसका डेटा पूरा ऑनलाइन कैप्चर होता है। तो अब ऑनलाइन डेटा कैप्चरिंग इज नॉट माय कैपेसिटी, राइट? तो मैं क्या कर सकता हूँ कि किसी एक कंप्यूटर साइंटिस्ट को इन्वॉल्व कर सकता हूँ अपने साथ एज ए को रिसर्चर उस स्टडी में। तो जो आपने क्वेश्चन पूछा कि आप इकोनॉमिक्स की स्टडी करना चाहते हैं सोसाइटी में, तो आप क्या कर सकते हैं कि आपका रिसर्च क्वेश्चन आपने कंसीव किया है, लेकिन अगर उसका कोई भी ऐसा एस्पेक्ट जो कि आपके एक्सपर्टाइज नहीं है, तो आप क्या करो कि उसमें एक इकोनॉमिस्ट को इन्वॉल्व कर लो, डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ इकोनॉमिक्स का कोई अच्छा रिसर्चर हो उसको आप इन्वॉल्व कर लीजिए। तो जो ये बात होती है कि कि मतलब वो तो सोशियोलॉजी का है, वो इकोनॉमिक रिसर्च कैसे कर पाएगा। तो बहुत बार ऐसा होता है, अगर आप एक सोशियोलॉजी का, एक इकोनॉमिस्ट, एक एजुकेशनिस्ट और एक सोशल साइंटिस्ट, एक साइकोलॉजिस्ट, एक साइकेट्रिस्ट, ये सब मिलकर रिसर्च करते हैं। अगर आप फॉरेन में जो पेपर पब्लिश होते हैं, अगर आप उनको देखेंगे तो आपको पता चलेगा कि उनके जो डिपार्टमेंट्स हैं वो सबके अलग अलग है। कोई इकोनॉमिक्स का है, सोशल साइंस का है, कोई आईटी का है, कोई साइकेट्री का है ना, कोई हिस्ट्री का भी हो सकता है। ऐसे करके आप एक कोलैबोरेटिव रिसर्च करिए, तो उसमें क्या है कि जो जिसका एरिया है वो उस तरह की स्टडी, उस तरह का उसमें इनपुट देगा, और प्रिंसिपल इन्वेस्टिगेटर आप ही हैं उसके। तो आई थिंक वो एक अच्छा तरीका है और उस तरह से उसको रिसर्च करनी चाहिए। आई थिंक वो आई थिंक मैंने आपको जवाब शायद, आई थिंक यू आर सेटिस्फाइड।
हाँ जी सर, धन्यवाद सर।
Sir, one question.
Here is another question from Dr. Rai. She is asking that about the ghost writers who are playing so many roles in writing thesis. So how to control them to improve the quality of the research?
Right. So ghost writers actually, I will say, Dr. Rai, actually, it's very difficult actually to stop many things. What you can do, I think we should be, as a good researchers, we should try to raise the bar of quality, right? अगर आप एजुकेशनल रिसर्च में या फॉर एग्जांपल किसी भी दूसरे रिसर्च एरिया में अगर आप बहुत हाई बार सेट कर दें, तो जो घोस्ट राइटर है उसकी अपनी एक कैपेसिटी होती है ना। तो जो चोर रहता है ना, उसका हो सकता है वो पॉकेट मार हो, तो पॉकेट मार जो है वो जरूरी नहीं है बहुत हाई फाई इलेक्ट्रॉनिक चोरी नहीं कर सकता है वो, बिकॉज सर्वेलेंस सिस्टम इतना कॉम्प्लिकेटेड है, वो उसकी स्किल से बाहर है। तो अगर हम लोग अपने सामूहिक प्रयास से सभी रिसर्चर्स क्वालिटी ऑफ रिसर्च को इम्प्रूव करें, तो उसमें ये रहेगा कि जो घोस्ट राइटर है वो केवल इंटरनेट का माल उठा के अपना काम चलाता है, अपनी दुकान चलाता है, अपनी इस तरह से चीजें करता है। तो वो एक तरीका है कि हम एक इतना बड़ा स्टैंडर्ड क्रिएट करें कि इस तरह के घोस्ट राइटर्स की स्पेस कम हो जाए, क्योंकि अगर हम बहुत घोस्ट राइटर्स के पीछे जाएंगे तो उसमें हम अपना एनर्जी और टाइम दोनों बहुत ज्यादा वेस्ट कर देते हैं। तो अगर उतना एनर्जी और टाइम अगर हम लोग अपनी क्वालिटी राइटिंग में देंगे पेपर के, तो वो इतना हाई हो जाएगा कि वो घोस्ट राइटर ना कोई दूसरा काम करने लगेगा, बट डेफिनेटली ही विल नॉट राइट पेपर्स। So that's
But
actually the one way.
time of technology, it is very difficult to control them.
Yes, I understand that, but this is the problem actually वो हर एक एरिया में है अभी। और इसको ना बहुत मीनस है ये बहुत ज्यादा, हम लोग डिफरेंट प्लेटफॉर्म पे सब कोशिश कर रहे हैं इसको कंटेन करने की, लेकिन वो कितना कंटेन होगा कब तक होगा बड़ा मुश्किल है। बट डेफिनेटली वो उनको थोड़ा थ्रेट तो है अभी कि वो दे नो कि अब वो रिसर्चर्स बहुत कॉन्शियस हैं, वो पता चल गया है उनको, तो करते हैं। अच्छी बुरी रिसर्च सब जगह होती है। तो एक ये तरीका है कि हम अपने आप को इतना क्वालिटी हाई करें, तो कुछ हो सकता है उनका एक ही तरीका हो सकता है।
Actually, so we really don't know from which sources they are connecting. So that is the basic reason we really don't know how to control them to improve the quality of research.
Yes, I agree with you. I mean, because of the technological
So one thing
changes.
is,
Yes, go ahead.
यस सर, कुछ स्टूडेंट के साथ मैंने देखा है कि वो रिसर्च में इंटरडिसिप्लिनरी में अपना सब्जेक्ट तो चुन लेते हैं। सपोज दैट एजुकेशन का स्टूडेंट है और उसका इंटरेस्ट ऑफ एरिया फिजिक्स में होता है और फिजिक्स में वो अपना टॉपिक तो चुन लेता है, बट जब वो रिसर्च करता है एजुकेशन के अंदर में या फिजिक्स के अंदर में इंटरडिसिप्लिनरी में, सपोज दैट कि फिजिक्स का स्टूडेंट एजुकेशन में कर रहा है, तो एजुकेशन में कर रहा है तो उस स्टूडेंट को बहुत ज्यादा प्रॉब्लम्स होती है रिसर्च में, और वो अपने गाइड से मैनेज करता है। तो लेकिन वहाँ पे भी थोड़ा, क्योंकि एजुकेशन का गाइड होता है और फिजिक्स के एरिया में कर रहा होता है, तो इतनी नॉलेज मतलब रिसर्च में या उस टॉपिक के बारे में उनके पास होती नहीं, तो वो स्टूडेंट को कैसे मैनेज किया जाए?
ठीक, आपने बहुत अच्छा क्वेश्चन पूछा है। इसमें क्या होता है, जैसे मैं आपको एग्जांपल दूं, जो विदेश में एक्चुअली इंटरडिसिप्लिनरी रिसर्च का बहुत अच्छा माहौल है वहाँ पे, और वो बहुत अच्छा प्रोडक्शन भी करते हैं इसमें। वहाँ पे क्या रहता है, फॉर एग्जांपल मैं एक आम एसोसिएशन या आप एक एजुकेशनिस्ट हैं, बट आपका इंटरेस्ट साइकेट्री है, ठीक है, आप साइकोलॉजी में करना चाहते हो, तो हमारे यहाँ क्या है इंटरडिसिप्लिनरी में कई जगह बोल दिया कि हाँ ठीक है आप कर लो, लेकिन वहाँ ऐसा नहीं है। उनमें क्या रहता है कि अगर आप एजुकेशनिस्ट हैं और आप साइकोलॉजिस्ट वाली रिसर्च करना चाहते हैं, तो आपको कुछ क्रेडिट आवर्स, जैसे हमारे यहाँ एक सेमेस्टर का कोर्स रहता है, ऐसा एक ब्रिजिंग कोर्स करना पड़ेगा, ताकि आप वो जो साइकेट्री के जो इसेंशियल है प्रिंसिपल्स हैं, जो मेथड्स हैं, वो कम से कम आप उनके बारे में आपको अच्छे से पता चले और एक आपका पता चल जाए कि आप कर सकते हो उसको। अगर आप वो पास नहीं करोगे तो आपको बीइंग एजुकेशनिस्ट आप साइकोलॉजी में नहीं कर सकते, बीइंग अ साइकोलॉजी आप सोशियोलॉजी इशू नहीं ले सकते, या आपकी डिग्री उस सब्जेक्ट में अवार्ड नहीं होगी। तो जो अगर फिजिक्स वाला एजुकेशन में करना चाहता है, तो उसको एजुकेशन का कोई एक ऐसा ब्रिजिंग कोर्स करना चाहिए, और यूनिवर्सिटी को इस तरह के प्रोविजंस करने चाहिए कि अगर आप इस तरह की इंटरडिसिप्लिनरी रिसर्च करते हैं, तो जब तक आपकी ट्रेनिंग नहीं है उस तरह की, तब तक आपको अलाउ नहीं किया जाएगा। आप कर सकते हैं, आपको रोकेगा कोई नहीं, बट आपको डेमोन्स्ट्रेट करना पड़ेगा कि एक्चुअली आप एजुकेशन की शिक्षा या जो उसके जो सिलेबस है उसको पूरी तरह समझते हैं, करते हैं, और उसको एक आपके अंदर कैपेसिटी है उसको कंडक्ट करने की, जो कि किसी एग्जाम के थ्रू या क्रेडिट आवर्स के थ्रू आपने डेमोन्स्ट्रेट करी है, तभी अलाउ करना चाहिए। सो आई एग्री विद यू, ये होता है इंटरडिसिप्लिनरी में, इस तरह के चैलेंजेस हैं।
Sir,
Sir,
I
here
have
is another question from Mr. Mandal. He is asking about the impact of journals.
Okay. So what you see that he's asking how we can calculate the impact factor of journal.
Actually, he is asking, just a minute. He is asking how can we calculate impact factor of FPR journals?
Oh, FPR. What is FPR?
I really don't know what he wants to do.
Okay. What is okay? Anyways, I will just give a general comment
Actually,
on
he is
this.
asking about the fake journals.
Okay. Okay. So I will just give a general comment actually on this. देखिए मंडल साहब, ऐसा होता है कि पहली बात तो जो मैं समझता हूँ कि आजकल इम्पैक्ट फैक्टर का बहुत ज्यादा डिमांड है, ठीक है, और हर एक रिसर्चर ये चाहता है कि उसका जो पेपर है वो बहुत हाई इम्पैक्ट फैक्टर में चला जाए या ऐसा कुछ पब्लिश हो। लेकिन जो मेरा एक्सपीरियंस कहता है वो ये है कि आपको इम्पैक्ट फैक्टर के पीछे नहीं भागना है बहुत ज्यादा। इम्पैक्ट फैक्टर एक अभी एक ऐसी रेट रेस हो गया है कि हर आदमी उससे भाग रहा है। अगर आप क्वालिटी रिसर्च करते हैं और अगर आप कहीं 1 से 2 इम्पैक्ट फैक्टर जर्नल में भी छापते हैं तो भी वो बहुत अच्छी स्टडी है, राइट। इम्पैक्ट फैक्टर बढ़ाना, घटना, बढ़ना बहुत अलग चीज है। जैसे कि मेडिकल साइंस के या केमिकल साइंसेस के कुछ जर्नल ऐसे हैं जिनके की इम्पैक्ट फैक्टर 100 से 200, 300, 50, 80 ऐसे इम्पैक्ट फैक्टर है। बिलीव करिए मेरे पास कोई आता है अगर वो बोलता है कि मेरा 80 इम्पैक्ट फैक्टर जर्नल में छपा है, मैं उसको बहुत ज्यादा मतलब वो मेरी इसलिए कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता कि उसका इंटेलेक्चुअल लेवल क्या है। कोई भी आदमी अपने फील्ड के अंदर उसका बेसिक जो प्रोडक्शन है वर्क का, उसकी क्वालिटी अगर अच्छी है तो उसने चाहे किसी छोटे जर्नल में किया हो, बड़े जर्नल में किया हो, कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता। और ये जो आजकल नया चालू हो गया है कि हर एक आजकल मैंने देखा मैनेजमेंट भी बहुत प्रेस करता है फैकल्टीज को कि आप ना अच्छे इम्पैक्ट फैक्टर में छापिए। अरे अच्छे इम्पैक्ट फैक्टर में छापने के लिए आपको बहुत महंगा पड़ता है रिसर्च इज नॉट अ इजी थिंग, इससे पैसा खर्च होता है। ये मतलब जैसे फॉर एग्जांपल हम लोग रिसर्च करते हैं तो हमारे यहाँ जो पार्टिसिपेंट रहेगा ना, कभी कभी वो वर्कर होता है, ठीक है, तो वर्कर जो बेचारा दिहाड़ी कर रहा है, अगर आप उसको पूरा दिन रिसर्च में के क्वेश्चन आंसर कराओगे उसका 300-500 रुपए चला जाएगा, समझ रहे हो, तो उसको कंपनसेशन भी देना पड़ सकता है आपको। तो या कोई बहुत महंगी टेक्नोलॉजी है, कोई जो साइकोलॉजिकल एजुकेशन के लिए जो बहुत सारे मेथड्स हैं, जो टूल्स हैं, वो टूल्स कितने यूनिवर्सिटीज ने खरीदे हुए हैं। इसलिए ये जो एक्सपेक्टेशन है लोगों की हाई इम्पैक्ट फैक्टर की, तो एज ए ट्रू रिसर्चर आप बहुत पीछे मत भागिए। लेकिन हाँ कुछ कंपेलिंग रीजन है, हमको थोड़ा अच्छा छापना चाहिए, बट भले चाहे साल में आप 1 से 2 पेपर छापते हैं बहुत अच्छा है। और ज्यादा से ज्यादा कोलैबोरेशन करिए। मैं आपको बताता हूँ, अकेले आप कोई भी व्यक्ति ना, अकेले बहुत मुश्किल है काम करना, कम्पीट करना बहुत मुश्किल है, क्योंकि बस जो कुछ रिसर्चर्स आज की डेट में बहुत अच्छा काम करते हैं बिकॉज वो कोलैबोरेट करते हैं। तो क्या होता है अगर मैं अच्छा कोलैबोरेशन हूँ तो मतलब फॉर एग्जांपल मैंने रचना जी के साथ में कोई कोलैबोरेशन किया है ना, या जैन जी साहब के साथ कोई कोलैबोरेशन किया, वो एजुकेशनिस्ट है, मैं स्टैटिस्टिशियन हूँ, फिर हमने उसमें एक पॉलिटिकल साइंटिस्ट ले लिया, सबका बहुत अच्छा ओपिनियन आया और जो अल्टीमेटली पेपर है उसकी क्वालिटी इतनी अच्छी होगी कि आप किसी भी अच्छे जो अच्छे पब्लिशर्स हैं, जैसे चाहे एल्सेवियर हो, टाइटल फ्रांसिस हो या वाइली हो, आप भेजेंगे, सेज हो, और आप भेजेंगे तो वो उस पेपर की क्वालिटी अच्छी होगी बिकॉज उसमें ना एक्सपर्ट्स ने ओपिनियंस दिए हैं। कभी कभी क्या होता है कि हम ना सारा काम खुद ही कर लेना चाहते हैं, ये भी बड़ा इश्यूज हो जाता है। तो ऐसा मत करो, कोलैबोरेशन करो, आपका पेपर 1 से 2 में छापो, बहुत ज्यादा इम्पैक्ट फैक्टर के पीछे मत भागो। वो अगर आप उसमें जाओगे ना तो आप उस रैट रेस में बहुत पीछे चले जाएंगे। जैसे होता है ना, हम भी आजकल बहुत वेस्टर्न की तरह जाते हैं ना, तो हमने अपने पैमाने वेस्टर्न रिसर्च के हिसाब से सेट कर दिए, और दूसरों की रेस में दौड़ोगे तो बहुत हार जाओगे, है ना। तो हमको अपना खुद का बनाना है, और जो आप छापते हैं बिल्कुल उसकी क्वालिटी मेंटेन रखो। एंड आई थिंक मोस्ट ऑफ द रिसर्चर्स आर डूइंग गुड। थोड़ा उनको ट्रेनिंग और राइटिंग बिजनेस मिले तो वो सब अच्छा करेंगे, राइट। सो
Thank you, sir.
अच्छा,
you,
ये
sir.
मैं जस्ट होल्ड फॉर सेकंड। सो आई थिंक बहुत सारे क्वेश्चंस हो गए, थैंक यू फॉर द
Yes, yes, yes.
दूसरा ये है कि मैं एट द एंड मैं आपको पूरे डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ एजुकेशन को मेरी तरफ से बहुत सारी शुभकामनाएं कि इन्होंने एक हाइब्रिड रिसर्च जैसे टॉपिक पे रखा है। बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट क्रूशियल है बिकॉज ये बहुत क्रिटिकल टॉपिक है एक्चुअली, लोगों को अंडरस्टैंडिंग नहीं है बहुत, और इमर्जिंग भी है, बहुत सारे चैलेंजेस हैं जो अभी एड्रेस नहीं है। तो आपके एचओडी को और जितने लोग इन्वॉल्व हैं, रचना, रूबी, जो भी मेरे सामने दिख रहे थे, डॉक्टर मेहरोत्रा जो आपकी एचओडी हैं, डॉक्टर विनोद जैन जिन्होंने बहुत मेरे साथ कोऑर्डिनेट किया, और मैं बहुत स्पेशल थैंक्स करूंगा डॉक्टर संपर्क आचार्य जी का, जिन्होंने मुझे वो इंट्रोड्यूस कराया यहाँ पे, और आई थिंक हमने कोशिश करी कि एक अच्छा कुछ सो दैट एक अच्छा लेक्चर हो, और सो आई रियली कांग्रेचुलेट टू यू ऑल। और इसके बाद में मैंने एक लिंक जो है वो आप दोबारा भर दीजिए, बिकॉज वो पोस्ट असेसमेंट है, ठीक है। तो लेक्चर के बाद जब आप फ्री हो जाएं तो आप उसको पोस्ट असेसमेंट जरूर भर दीजिएगा सारे पार्टिसिपेंट्स को। थैंक यू सो मच, थैंक यू।
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. It was a really honor to have you on our platform for this FDP program. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
This was a really informative session, and more the doubts are clear total. Thank you so much.
Great.
So in this series, I'm inviting Ms. Ruby Sharma for the welcome reports for Dr. Swati Joshi.
Hello. Am I audible to you, ma'am?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am, you are audible.
Thank you, ma'am, and thank you, sir, for your comprehensive presentation on ethical aspects of experimental research and regulations. We are really enlightened with your knowledge and presence. I am pretty sure the precious knowledge that Dr. Sukhdev Mishra sir gave us will definitely help us in future. Thank you so much, sir. Now I would like to welcome our next keynote speaker, Dr. Swati Joshi, ma'am. But before that, I would like to give you a brief introduction about Swati Joshi, ma'am. Dr. Swati Joshi, ma'am, is an assistant professor at Central University of Gujarat, Gandhinagar. Her major area of research is industrial engineering, particularly protein engineering and allied aspects, industrial microbiology and biotechnology. She earned her doctorate in microbiology from University of Delhi. Ma'am is also engaged as PI in a DBT BioCare funded research project at CUG. She has published over 19 peer-reviewed scientific papers, reviews, and book chapters. There are 3 transcriptome sequences submitted in NCVI to her name. She has been conferred Dr. M.J. Trimalachar Young Scientist Award 2015 by Microbiological Society of India and Young Scientific Award 2018 by Association of Microbiologists of India. Now to begin another enriching and fruitful session, I would like to invite Dr. Swati Joshi, ma'am, to take over the session. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Ruby, for your kind words.
Thank you, ma'am.
First of all, sorry for some technical issues here at my side. And first and foremost, now I would like to thank all the organizers and leadership at Tirthankar Mahavir University for giving me this opportunity and having me here to be the part of this incredible teaching learning process, and to be the part of this journey and engaging with you all. So with these words, I would like to start and share my presentation. So do I have a permission for that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, just a second. Is it visible?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Just a second. Yeah, so 1 minute. I hope the presentation is visible to you all.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay, so the topic that I've chosen for this FDP faculty development program is enhancing research visibility through reference management in scientific publications. And I would like to first of all highlight the points that I'm going to refer in this present in this session. That is, first of all, I will tell you all that what is referencing, and then I will tell rules of responsible referencing, and significance of referencing will also be covered in this. And I will then later tell you different styles of referencing, tools of reference management, and then at the end, I will take an example of managing reference using Endnote. Okay, so I'm sure that most of you must be knowing what referencing is, because in day-to-day activities, academic activities, while writing proposals, while writing research articles, while writing any sort of academic, text, we come across with this term referencing, citations, etc., etc. So what does it mean? What is referencing? If I try to define it, it is a systematic process of organizing the searched literature so that it is easily retrievable and citable. So you see, whenever we want to, write a project, research project, what do we do? What do we do in general? We, we do extensive reading of the different research articles, and we try to find out what is already being done. And then we try to find out that what are the gaps in between and where we can fill in the gap, right? So we do, in the process of writing a research project, we do extensive reading, and we refer to many articles, many resources, right? So at the end, when we are sitting and we are, chewing the thoughts and we are just ready to write the project, so we may like to go back to those references or to those materials, and we want to look back and make a strategy that how to go about the writing the project, right? So if we do proper referencing, we can easily retrieve those articles that we referred during the reading time, right? Reading practice, or we can say literature survey in more general term. If I go about, then whatever literature survey we have done, we would like to go back to that. And also we would like to cite that whenever there is a need, right? So we want a systematic process of that, for that, right? That is referencing. And we don't want to be entangled in the process, how to get back to that reference or particular reference which has caught our interest, right? So referencing will come to aid at that point of time. So it makes the process or all the reference material retrievable and citable, right? So it's critically important for any academician and any researcher to have a proper referencing or reference management, and to have knowledge about referencing and citations. So moving to next, we must also be aware about what is referencing and different associated terms, right? So we come across different terms, like some people, actually there are two schools of thought regarding the terminology. Like some people uses references, bibliography, citations, right? These terms in a different manner, okay? And they understand it in a they take it very differently. So what are those schools? See, first of all, what is reference? Under reference, at the end of any article, any book chapter, you will find a list of referred materials. So the under references, you list resources that you have referred to within the body of the work, right? So whatever reference you have read, you will list them at the references. Okay, now one of the schools that refer to bibliography as a separate term as compared to that of the references, take it as the a list of resources that you have read, right? That you have read, but you're not including under the list. Okay, so bibliography in that school of thought will be larger than that of references. Okay, so this is the basic difference. Now, what is citation? Citation is actually an abbreviated alphanumeric expression. Okay, it will have alphabets in terms of the name of the author, or some numerals, maybe year, date, page number, etc. So citation is an abbreviated alphanumeric expression that we embed in the body or the whole narrative of the intellectual work that we create, right? So now in text citation as well as bibliographic entry or reference list entry, you can use the terms. I'm not going to be very particular. Actually, I'm not very particular about this terminology. You can use the terms as per your choice, but you should know the difference, and you should know what are the different schools of thoughts regarding the terminology. Okay, so citations, references is a big list that you have at the end of your body of work, and bibliography is the same, but it is a larger version of the references that also includes that the articles or the references that you have referred but you have not included in the text. Okay, and citations, alphanumeric expression. I hope I'm clear about it. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So as I was telling you, it is an alphanumeric expression, right? So if you see here, I'm showing you an article here, and a portion of the article is zoomed in here where you are seeing just numbers. We will shortly know that there are different styles of referencing where you can have, in-text numbers or in-text author date context, right? But there are other styles where you have only numbers. So particularly in this case, your in-text citation are shown as numbers, and these numbers corresponds to the list or the sequence of the references at the end of your text. Okay, so there are different styles. You have in-text references as well as you have reference list at the end of the article or book chapter or anything that you have created or you have generated. Now, coming to the next point that we should be aware of is what are different kinds of citations, primary citations and secondary citations and tertiary citations. So you should know what is the difference and how does it affect your writing. We do often want our publications or articles be published in good journals, reputed journals, esteemed journals, right? So they are very, very strict in terms of, how do you choose your citations and how do you present them, right? So we have, for sake of having a crisp, writing style. So you should know that what are primary, secondary, and tertiary sources. So primary sources, primary sources are those references which are original ideas, which are raw data generated out of the research or the first-hand information, right? This can have, you can take primary sources as journal articles, specifically belonging to the sciences, because there are many researches going on. So you can have journal articles as primary sources, you can have newspaper articles as primary sources, or sometimes articles and text are written in time of the event happening. So say like COVID time is going on. So in the COVID time, if some raw information, some first-hand information is coming up, that will be considered as a primary source. And if someone is excerpting the information from the primary source, and then it is analyzing that, interpreting that, and retrieving data out of primary source, then those sources will be called secondary sources. Okay, and then comes the tertiary sources. These are just compilation of data on a particular topic, like you can have encyclopedias, bibliographies, abstract indices, etc. So you should know what is a primary source, and you should be able to distinguish between these, right? Some journals are very strict. They do not allow the citation of secondary sources or tertiary sources. They want their authors to cite only primary sources. Like, for example, here I've written one example that if you have, you want to refer Raman's work found in Tyagi's work, right? So you want to cite Raman's work, but what are you doing? You are citing Tyagi's work, Raman's work, what is written in the Tyagis. So that is a wrong practice for any specific journal. Not completely wrong, but journals to journals and periodicals to periodicals, it thus regulation or their strictness varies. So you may cite secondary sources, but the preference should be citing the primary sources. Okay, so if you cannot find original source ab initio, the practice should be that you should not cite that particular source. So always be cautious about citing primary sources that supports your writing, right? So moving to next, I want to highlight that actually this is the very important slide of the whole presentation. 10 rules of responsible referencing. So being academicians, scientists, students, researchers, and being teachers of most, it is our responsibility, and onus is more on us to set examples, to be the crusaders of doing right. So by this scientist Bart Panders, a very powerful statement was given, which you must refer to, that a well-referred manuscript places the author's argument in the proper knowledge context and thereby can support its novelty, its value, and its visibility. Right. So actually, whenever you are citing, whenever else is working a string, you are creating a web of knowledge. You are creating a wealth that people will take as the value, as the novelty, as the credibility, as as the originality of your work. Okay, so citations in a way are currency. You can simply use the citations without knowing the power of the citations, or you can unknowingly, sometimes you can deflate, you can inflate the power of the currency currency of citations. So you can take it
Hello, ma'am.
research.
Hello. Hello. Ma'am. I think.
Hello,
Hello. Yes, ma'am.
ma'am, आती हो?
Hello.
Ma'am, unmute
Ma'am.
yourself. Unmute yourself.
I didn't realize when I lost the
Hello,
connection.
Swati ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes, you are audible.
So just help me that where did I lost the connection? Was it on this slide?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am. This
You
is
were
not
over
visible.
10 principles of citation.
I was here?
Yes, you are audible.
No. I'm just want to know that which slide I was on.
Swati, you were telling 10 principles of citation.
Only this
Okay, that's great.
only, madam. Only this slide only. Okay, continue. Proceed, madam. Thank you.
Okay. Just I will keep asking whether I'm audible or not. Okay. Yeah. So I just want to emphasize on these rules that we should always be citing responsibly. Just a second. I need to turn off my camera so that there's less technical difficulties I face. Just a minute. So am I audible and visible? My slides are visible?
No, ma'am. Your site is not visible.
Slide is not visible. Just a second. So is it visible now?
Now it is visible.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am. Proceed.
Yeah. So I was discussing about the rules of responsible writing. So first of all, we should always include relevant citations, right? Relevant means what? Right. So, all these scholarly articles or writings require a demonstration of relevance to the question asked. What questions you are being asked. According to that, your citation should be. What are the methods you are using? The citation should be according to that. Rationale of the use of material. So that will also affect your choice of citation. And a discussion of issues relevant to the content you are publishing. Okay, so that should always be taken into consideration, right? We should not omit any reference, either intentionally or deliberately. Yeah, it's right. And if by chance you are citing, then you will have an proofreading session to correct it. But unless you know that what is relevant to your work, you won't be able to include the relevant ones, right? So the question asked and the methods being used, what are you discussing? Everything, all the citations should be relevant to that. Okay, now, second important rule is that you always should read the publications that you cite, meaning that sometimes, often actually, people, what do? They do go through the abstract, right? And they conclude, okay, this is probably is said or, proved or presented in the article. This is the claim they are claiming in their research. So they vaguely cite that article. That should not be done. In fact, while you are exploring literature, when you are reading extensively, you should always save the PDFs, complete PDFs. If you are, referring websites, you should download that content at the right moment, because sometimes the meta varies, they update the websites, right? Things like that goes on. So first and foremost is that you should read. Sometimes when you read, you complete reading, you will find that actually the matter is either supporting your study or it is just in contrast to your study. So unless you read it, you cannot cite it in context to what you are presenting in your article. So always we should go through the publication in toto. Now, third important rule is that cite in accordance with the content. What is the content? Right. Sometimes we just go so casual that we don't, see clearly and in depth that what is being presented by the person or the researchers that we are citing. Right. So, and what is your content? What are they presenting? And so there should be a relevance. Okay. Sometimes what people do, they wrongly put or wrongly present their citations, meaning that probably they found a paper, for example, they found a paper, their findings are very similar to that what their own, right? But they don't want to give due credit to their the referencing, the article they are referring. So what will they do? They deliberately they will lower the value of the reference, right? Whenever there is a reader, and people always go back to the citations and they read them and they judge your article depending on what you have cited, because all those articles are the foundations on which our article is based, and those citations will act as a string leading to your publication, right? So if you don't cite in accordance with content, your audience will be misled, and that is not right, being an academician or a researcher, right? So you should always cite in accordance with the content, right? So don't do Trojan citation, means don't lower down the value of the articles that you are referring to, or which are having many common things with that of your work, right? And so now I'll move to the next topic, the next point, that is cite transparently, not neutrally. We need to be very transparent while citing any article. What does that mean? How to be not neutral? How to be transparent? Okay, content in accordance with the content is fine, but it also requires the context, right? So citations should mention assessment of value, worth, relevance, as well as significance of the context, right? So the context is comes into picture here, right? Now, because I told you that these citations can devalue your work, or even sometimes inflate your work, or because so you should be transparent about choosing the relevance articles to cite to in your article. Okay, so always be transparent and always stick to what articles is what the argument of the article is about. So these are the some important points. Now the sixth point is cite yourself when required, right? Sometimes it gets it is getting taboo actually, that you should not cite yourself, but that's not correct. You should cite yourself whenever it is a must. And when will it be a must? It will be a must when your original work is showing incremental iterative advancement, right, to your work. So your work now, your new project or new study is adding value, adding new knowledge to your previous work, then you must cite yourself. But am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, very good.
Yes, ma'am.
So we should cite ourselves, but we should be very, very careful. Now, when we should be careful, so it may become problematic sometimes, because being human, we become sometimes greedy. Science, I would say, greed for good high number of papers, greed for high indices, academic indices. You must be knowing I-10 index, H index, and many others, right? So don't be greedy and just don't cite yourself ignorantly. Only cite when your work is adding something new to your previous work. Okay, and don't fall into the prey of self plagiarism. Okay, plagiarism is really a crime nowadays. People get lots of penalty because of citing themselves wrongfully. So we should be very careful about that, when to cite ourselves and when not to. So you should choose very logically, very rationally on that point. Now the sixth rule for responsible referencing will be prioritize the citation you include. Sometimes journals are very specific. They are very particular about number of citations you can have in your article, right? For example, I would say if I am correct, correspondence in Nature, that requires only 3 citations, that allow only 3 citations per correspondence. So that's the limit, so how can you judicially choose those 3 citations? That you should have that power in you, that how to choose right, powerful, and clearly relating in context, in content citation in your article, right? And some, for example, I will give an example from my field. Bioresource technology gives you freedom of using only 35 citations. So you need to prioritize which citation to include and which citation to not, right? So it immensely affect the visibility of your citation, your work actually. So how can you prioritize? See, sometimes, many a times when we are any article has a structure, a format. You have abstract, you have introduction, you have methods and material, you have results, discussion, conclusion and future perspectives, and then references. It may vary from journal to journal, university to university, or lab to lab. But every article and every any text have a format that you need to follow, right? So we can prioritize, and it is not very difficult to prioritize, because sometimes whenever you are writing introduction, you can take reviews that can cover broader area that you want to mention in your article, while in and one more thing is that while prioritizing, you should always prioritize anew for each of your article. If you're writing article number 1, you should prioritize anew. If you are on a second article, working on a second article, then you should start with scratch. So prioritize from scratch, prioritize for each section, and if necessary, include your sections in the supporting material, so that most of your references that you want to include goes into not in the main body of your article. And also you should prioritize on to reviewed or peer reviewed papers over not reviewed or pre presentations or pre articles, preprint articles. So you should try not to cite those, because unless they are properly reviewed, they cannot be trusted, right? So peer review is a very, very important and critical aspect of scientific publishing. As you all know, all your papers go through a peer review, double blind review. Many kinds of reviews are there. So prioritize your citations when you are including, and always include reviewed articles over, choose review articles or prioritize those ones. And also you should always try to avoid, citing, in your conclusions or your future prospects. Those should be, written in your own words, and least citations are required in those sections. So that is these 6 points, these 6 rules are for those who are writing or producing the articles or generating the knowledge in terms of articles. Now the 7th through 10th, these 4 rules are for those who are actually reviewing the others' work, right? So when you review others' work, you should follow some norms. You should follow some moral, ethical, scientific, academic values, right? We cannot be biased. We cannot, favor someone and we cannot disfavor someone. We cannot inflate, we cannot deflate certain value. We should give right, exact, honest, value to every citation, right? So other than many other points, while reviewing, when you consider citations and you are evaluating the citations of an article, then you should evaluate citations as choices. People, all the 5 fingers are different, all the people are different, so their choices will also be different, right? So people choose citations. People are nothing but they are human beings, so they have choices, so they can be biased, right? So all the power they can muster is represented in their choices, or we can say manifested in their choices. So always evaluate citations as the choice of a person, right? So, and also while evaluating, see the rhetorical aspects also. Sometimes just to make your own writing very powerful, you include a rhetorical citation, means you give more power to an article or to a citation than it deserves. So that point of view, or that consideration should also be taken into account while reviewing an article. Now, the 9th and very important point, socially also and scientifically also, that you should evaluate citations as framed ones. The article itself is a framed article, right? So people try to frame sentences. Sometimes they sometimes they give value to their peers articles, their lab mates articles, their seniors articles, right? They frame the sentences. Sometimes they use verbs which actually should not be there in their articles. Like if someone is citing someone's work as just the author suggests versus author establishes. So when you say author establishes, you give more power. And when you say the excellent study that shows, and versus you say the pilot study that shows, so there is a power in verbs that you use, right? So the authors are being human. They frame their sentences, they choose verbs in such a way that they get biased. So while evaluating someone else's article, you should keep these points in mind. And also you should accept that citations culture differ across boundaries. What does it mean? We are people from diverse backgrounds. Some are from humanities, some are from sciences, some are from languages, right? So if a paper is getting high number of citation, it doesn't increases the credibility or value as compared to those from other disciplines which are not having that many high citations, because the citation numbers in different disciplines will vary. Some fields get high citations, their impact factors are very high, but in other fields the articles won't receive as much as citations as the other fields. So that distinction you should always keep in mind, that citation culture differs across boundaries. So these are the 10 rules by Bart Penders. Actually, I've excerpted these golden rules from his paper. Okay, so I would refer you all to go and read and enlighten yourself on the responsible referencing. Now moving to next, Now, basics of referencing or citations, right? So almost every time I'm giving you a generalized view that every citation has different, elements, like it will be having author, author's name, title of the work, publication date, title of the larger work, right? So all you must have cited sometimes while writing your thesis, while writing your article or book chapter or anything. So the basic elements of referencing or citations are, you need to say who, what, when, and where, right? So if 4 informative points are there, then they may be completed, whether you are following certain style, referencing style or not. These elements must be there: who, what, when, and where. Sometimes these informations are not available with us. So in those exceptional cases, you can do away with the limited information that you have at your hand. Okay, so I will move on to the next slide. As I was telling you about the elements of referencing list entry, so author name will be there. I have taken an example from my publication itself. So am I audible? Just let me know.
Yes, ma'am, you are audible.
Okay, thank you. So whenever we cite an article, you have an author names, then you have title of the article, then you have journal name, then year of publication, and then volume and issue number if there is one, and then pages, right? And nowadays we have electronic journals, electronic articles. So a DOI or URL may be included there. Okay, so these are the general basic elements of referencing. Okay, so we all are aware already with these elements. So moving on to next, that what constitutes a reference? Being aware of the rules of responsible referencing, now the things that I'm going to tell you will become easier for you, because now you know what to cite, what not to cite, what rule to follow, what to do and what not to, right? To cite accurately and responsibly. Now, what constitute a reference? So you see, anything, there are many things that you can cite in your article. It can be a scientific article, it can be a book, it can be a policy, it can be a patent, it can be a web page, it can be a video, right? Anything you name it, that can be cited, right? That is citable. Now, what a reference should have, or what are the things that we should cite, right? Sometimes when we are reading an article, going through an article, we find some interesting facts and things that we want to include and we want to cite in our article. So whether everything should be cited or there are certain things that should be omitted, right? So all the statements need a citation, and all the results that are not based on your study also need a citation, and any specific method that is used in that particular study, right, that also will warrant a citation. And anything that can fall under the plagiarism, you should have that eye to understand whether you are about at the brink of plagiarism or not. So anything that can fall under plagiarism, you should refrain from not citing it. Okay, so you should cite it. Now, what doesn't need a citation? Common truth, common knowledge, everybody knows it, or the result from your own study that you are writing an article on, right? Or your interpretation of the other's finding, and which you many a times include in discussion, right? So those are the things that don't require a citation as such. Okay. So moving on to the next. Now, why are so much connotation about this referencing and citing? So what is the significance of referencing and citing? So the most important aspect of any academic research is that you uphold the author's intellectual honesty. Okay, so you need to be honest, and it will be manifested how you have chosen your references or citations, whether you have given due credit to your the articles that you have cited, right, or not. So that is one of the importance. Now, the second importance is that you give due credit to the original source, right? You avoid plagiarism. You avoid penalties for plagiarism. You avoid crime in writing, right? So it's a, hello, yes? Someone is saying something? Okay. So, you know, universities, institutions, and many other organizations have strict disciplinary actions if you plagiarize, right? So this is also an important aspect of referencing. When you do proper referencing, you avoid plagiarism, right? And you also allow your audience, your readers, to find the original source, right? So they can trace back to the original source your findings are based on, or they can, you know, critically analyze the gaps in the studies, right? So that also help your authors and audience and to validate your, to judge your, or to evaluate your work, right? So that powers referencing has. Now, it also allows the authors to attribute prior work and ideas to the correct sources, right? So they have this liberty and freedom to attribute prior work and ideas to their original sources, right? So they should not be confused, or they should not be misled that uh, this is your idea. Okay, whatever you are writing, if you are referencing it properly, so they will be able to go back to the original source, and they will be able to know where this idea is coming from, right? It allows your reader to determine whether the referred material is supporting your argument, right? So you claim in your study, this is, say, for example, if you are claiming that you have devised a new way of, you know, doing something. So whether the argument you are, whatever argument you are presenting, it is supporting your, so your reference material will reflect whether your argument is being supported by the citation. Okay. And the next significance that referencing has, it helps reader to gauge the strength and validity of the material itself. So your credibility of the work partly depends on the citations as well. You know, as I was telling you about plagiarism, that, you know, sometimes not citing or improper citations can lead to plagiarism. You know, UGC has come up with the regulations 2018, which was published in Gazette of India in the month of July, right? So this regulation is for promotion of academic integrity and prevention of plagiarism in higher educational institutions. And not following that may, you know, fetch some certain penalties to students, researchers, and faculties across the nation, right? They have even highlighted the what penalties they will be, you know, there will be if somebody is plagiarizing. And they do, UGC is being regularly publishing public notices in this regard, right? So avoid self-plagiarism, cite properly, etc., etc. Right. So, you know, if you plagiarize work, you know, either of others or your own, then you do not, your work is not credible, and it doesn't fetch you any value in your evaluation or indices, whatever index you take in consideration too, right? So we always must refrain from plagiarism. And UGC also highlights 5 points that clarify us that what kind of works can be considered self-plagiarism. Probably there is a big, you know, whole session is going to be organized on plagiarism and how to tackle it by Professor MP Singh and probably R.R. Ranjan, Professor Ranjan. So I will skip this slide and I will go to next. But the take-home message is that we should follow all the ethics and norms while writing, right? So we should always be a responsible author. Sorry, I need to skip this just a second. You know, one important point is I must highlight here that sometimes what people do, they break up their single study into different smaller sections, and they try to publish as altogether separate sections. So this kind of salami slicing is not allowed in any system, either Indian, international, or any platform. It won't add any number, any credit, any citation, or any index to your credentials, right? So please refrain from such malpractices. Now let us come on to different styles of citations. There are different citations across the disciplines, like MLA. I have given here full forms. If you're interested, you can go through these. MLA, like Modern Language Association, is particularly used by the language discipline, English literature, languages, regional studies, etc. Then there is American Psychological Association style of referencing, that mostly psychology education, linguistic studies people use these referencing styles, and there are many more. And if we must be interested in knowing about these styles, and we can refer, huge material, handbooks, blogs, websites, different website discusses it, and many people have invested a lot of time in, explaining these with wonderful examples. So I will urge you all that you go and refer to these wonderful citations, websites, and blogs, and increase your knowledge about different citation styles. Now, just for your example, I have excerpted this figure from a publication that gives you, a journal reference in different styles, upper style, IEEE style, etc. So you see, you will find minor differences, although all the details, who, what, when, where, these are given, but they are presented differently. If we consider APA style, which is used in education discipline, so here you have authors' names, then year in brackets, and then you have title of the article, then you have journal name, then volume and issue, and then you have page number, right? And in IEEE style, if we see it carefully, they have given a number to the reference, and then they have author's name, and that too is presented differently as compared to the APA style. And then you see this article title is coming in the what do we say it? Yeah. So this sorry, I'm not retrieving that word. So you see there is a difference in writing.
Inverted commas. Inverted commas.
Sometimes it happens, very simple word you cannot retrieve. So these inverted commas. You have, pardon?
Inverted commas, madam.
Yes, thank you so much. So you have inverted commas, then you have the journal article name. So you see the writing font style is different. Here it is italicized, it is not italicized. Then they are writing VOL and NO like that, and then they are writing, abbreviation for page number, etc. So these two are same references, but they are presented in a very different style. So there are different, referencing styles that vary from journal to journal, that may vary from discipline to discipline, and that also may vary from university to university, and even sometimes lab to lab. Okay, so we must be aware of what reference style is being used in our discipline. Okay, so for this presentation, I have kept the APA style for your, giving demonstrations of different style, how to write different references, like for journals, for newspapers, etc. I have kept that one because discussing every style will be beyond this presentation. So let me go to next slide. Now, if we try to do this referencing manually, it will be a very laborious process, right? You will have to be very careful that you will be under pressure, in fact, that you should not err for a comma or for a full stop or for not italicizing something, right? So those kinds of pressure you have, and if a point or if certain simple mistake or by unknowingly or you do it, your reviewer will say you that, okay, revise the reference section as well. So to refrain from that or to avoid that, we can use different citation managers available, or different tools and softwares available to us. There are many reference management softwares available. Some are paid, like Endnote is a paid one. There are many other which are freely available. Mendeley, Zotero is there. and some through some of the softwares can be accessed through your institutional subscription as well, right? So you have ample amount of choices and you can choose any one that suits you, right? So I will, at the end, I will give you an example of using Endnote. Okay, just a second. I hope I'm not taking, although I could start late, so can I continue? Okay.
Hello. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, yes. Okay. So how to cite a journal article in APA style. Okay. So you will have to, I will go a little faster now because to meet the timeline. So you see, first of all, you write author's name, surname, and then their initials, and then year in brackets, and then a title of the article, right? In the sentence case, and then you have the title of the publication italicized and in title case, and then you have volume number also italicized, then issue number not italicized, and then pages, and if it has a DOI or URL, then that is written, right? So this is a general syntax for a journal article in APA style. Now, this is an example I have taken. You see, first of all, author's names, not italicized, first surname, then initials, then year, then full stop. Then in sentence style, you have a title of the article, then italicized sentence case, title of the journal, then you have italicized volume number, then non-italicized issue number in bracket, and then you have page numbers, and then you have DOI. So this is a simple format or simple syntax of APA style. Now, how to cite books and books chapters? It's not, it's, you know, it's a kind of simple game how to format that. Just the thing is, you should know what is the syntax or what is the format, right? So for formatting a book according to book reference, for according to APA style, you need the last name, initials, book title, editors. If it is a translated book, then who are the translators? Or if it is a volume, edition, then that also you should know, and the publisher, right? And then you can easily write that in the reference entry list, okay? And in text citation, as I told you, that is an alphanumeric expression. So you have the author's surname and year, and if the journal or the particular style requires the mention of the page number, then you can also mention the page number. Then format with of a book with URL. This is the format. I won't go, in the very much detail. Now, for a chapter, for a book chapter, this is the format in APA style, that you have to write the last name, then initials, year, title of the chapter. Okay, now here you have, in addition to title of the book, you have title of the chapters, and then editors, who are the editors of the book, and then book title also, but that will be italicized, and then page number, and the publisher, and if the DOI is available, then DOI will have to be written. And then in text citation, the similar way, alphanumeric one or author date style, you can use author and then this year, and then if page number is mandatory, then page number. Okay, so now I will tell you how to cite a newspaper article in your article or your writings. So again, the same thing, who, what, when, and where. So I've taken this example, recently published news article. Okay, so this is the title of the article. If I zoom in, you can see the information of the author, who is the editor of this work, and what is the source, right? And when it was published, and the timestamp also, right? The while citing newspaper article, and if you are using a e-paper or e-article, then you need to know the timestamp as well. So you can get all that information from that web link, right? So through this article, while clicking on the author information, I got the information who wrote it and what it is, right? What is the title of the article, when it was published, along with the timestamp, and where, which newspaper it was. So the format for APA style is that you need to mention an author name, then year, month of the date of the publication, article title, newspaper title, retrieved from the newspaper homepage, and URL, right? So here I have written the author's name that I retrieved from this article. Shampasen 2021, August 3, I have mentioned the date as well. and the title of the article, right? And which newspaper it was, the name of the newspaper, as well as the URL of the newspaper. So this way you can easily generate your reference for a newspaper article published online. Now, in text citation again requires the author name and the this will remain the same author date system in APA style, right? So now moving on to next, if you are using a print media and you are citing a newspaper article, then other than the information fed earlier, you also need the page number, right? So at the end of the your citation or reference, you will have to include the page number instead of URL, right? That's the minor difference. Now, how can you cite a video? Because people nowadays, TED Talks are there, YouTube is there, Vimeo is there, many resources are there for new information that you may like to include in your article, right? So how to cite a video in APA style? Again, you need to know what, where, when, these things. So information, author name, or who is the director, or what is the screen name, what is the year, month, date of upload, etc. And medium, what is the medium? That is the video. And also, because these are all e-sources, so you will need a URL or DOI. So this is the syntax I have written here that is being used for citing a video. You will have to have an author name, director, username, okay, and the year of the publication, title of the video, subtitle, if any, and then video, because it is a video, and then website of the or publisher, then URL. So if I see, I've taken the example from of a video from a Vimeo site, and if I zoom in on the further information, so the title of this video is India, and who has uploaded it? This Memorias de Oriente has uploaded it. And when did it upload? September 25, 2010, and this is the timestamp and some certain tags, but this information I don't require to cite in APA style. So just author, who is the author? This is the author, who has uploaded the video, and what is the time, year, 2010, and what is the title of the video, India, and what is it? It is a video, so video in italicized. Then what is the source or website or publisher? That is Vimeo. And what is the HTTP or URL? So you have this URL, you can copy just from this website. Okay, so this way you can easily cite the video as well. In-text citation in APA style for the video is also very easy. So you just need to have the name of the author, year, and the timestamp. What is the timestamp? Timestamp here is because you just like page number in a book chapter, you have timestamp in a video. Which portion of the video you are talking about in your article, or you are narrating things around that. So you need to have a timestamp for citing a video as well. Sorry, just a second. Am I audible? And slides are visible?
Yes, ma'am, you are audible and your site is also visible.
Okay, thank you. So now if you are citing a YouTube video, it is again very simple. The format is goes like this: author, year, month. Here you need to include the month as well, and the title of the video, descriptor, that what it is, and website and URL, right? So if I zoom in for the information required here, I get all the information. This is the title of the video, right? And this is the author who has uploaded it. This is the month and the year, right? I know that it is a video, and it is the YouTube that has the YouTube website and URL. I can copy it from the link, right? So this way you can even, here we are in APA style particularly, you don't need a timestamp for citing a YouTube video, right? Now, how to cite an article from website, right? So this I have taken as an example. This is the syntax. This is the format for citing a website. You need to know author name. See, there are sometimes variation to these. Sometimes the author name might not be available to you, or the date might not be available to you. So with that limited information also you can cite that. But the point is here, you need to save that information in that particular time. To your drive, you need to save that, because these e-portals keep changing, keep updating. So if the information is lost or changed, you won't be able to trace it back, right? So you need to have, just like research articles, you store PDFs of all the articles referred, you need to store the information referred at that particular point of time, right? So that always must be kept in mind. So this is the format for citing a video, citing a website. If you have an author name, then author name, last name and initials, year, month, day, and article title, and then publication name. So this I've taken as an example here. So when I zoom in for the author information here, I get all the information, author name, who, when did it or edit, when was it edited, right? And if not, then I have the title of the article as well. So using that information, I can easily write the reference in APA style. This was the person. Sorry, it should be an S actually. So because initials are to be written here. So Govind Rajan Sumati is the writer here or author here. So Govind Rajan S should be written, and then sorry, Vidya Kaushal is the title of the article, and then Vikaspedia is the publication name, and this is the URL. In text citation, as goes with the APA style, you need to have an author date style that is in parentheses. APA is basically always in text. Parenthetical style is used for citing in text. Now, social media elements are also very important. Sometimes very new information comes up there. People are active on Twitter, people are active on Facebook and other social media platforms. You know, even if you have heard of altmetrics, so that gives you, that shows you how, you know, how well cited or how well mentioned your research or your work is in social media. So this is also, this becomes imperative that you cite the information you take from social media as well. In APA style, when you cite an information from social media, you use this particular syntax I have shown here. So again, the author's name, then year and month, and then first 20 words of the post, right? And then description of the multimedia aspect, which kind of a multimedia aspect it is, what type of post it is, and which site it is on, and also the URL. So I have taken here the example from APA Association itself. So American Psychological Association, it is uploaded by their social media platform. So on Facebook, so social media platform is Facebook. So American, first of all, who is the author? American Psychological Association. So I write the name, complete name, and then year and the date, and then first 20 words of their post. And then what is it? It is a link with thumbnail attached. So that I mentioned that is what kind of a multimedia aspect. It is a string, the string is attached to, and then what is it? It is status update on Facebook. So site name is Facebook, and then, and if you are citing it in text, then you'll have to have the APA, that is American Psychological Association, and then the year of the post. So it is very simple. It is not very difficult. Once you know the format, you can cite every source at your disposal. Now, I will give you a demo, 10 minutes. I will give you a demo that how to manage references with the Endnote. Here we will learn that how you can import references from an online database and how you can create a custom group and add references to it, or all the references of your choice, and to find full text, to download PDFs or references. It even further make your job easy, right? You can find full text easily, whichever is available, right? Then to insert a reference in the Word document, and to format the bibliography, and how to add the page numbers to a citation. So these points I'm going to give a demo to you. Just a second. I have already, I need to share my entire screen. So if my entire screen is visible to you all.
No, yes, madam, it is visible.
Entire screen. Okay, so I'm opening the Endnote. Is it visible?
No visible, ma'am.
Okay, that's good. So first of all, what do? for creating your, using this Endnote, right? First of all, you'll have to select an online database, right? Online database search tool. So you go here, and this is an icon for online database search, because there are different databases of universities, libraries, right?
Ma'am, only PPT visible आपकी.
Okay, PPT. Okay, just a second. That's what I'm asking, that I want to share my entire screen. Just a second.
Yes.
Share screen. Where is the option show all windows? Okay, I'll share one by one. So I will keep switching between the screens, because I am not getting any link for sharing entire screen. Okay, just a second. Let me check the advanced option portion of the screen. Okay, I got one option. Just a second. Okay, probably it is visible now.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, great. So first of all, you'll have to go on the online database search tool, because you need to choose a specific source where you want to retrieve your references or citations from. And you can choose, there are many databases available, right? So you can choose any of your choice, right? I'm choosing here PubMed. Okay, so now it will connect to the host. So now I'm connected, right? Now I need to create the search, or I need to build my search. So you can choose many options here. You can see on your screen. You can choose year, title, volume, or some words. So searching, proper references is also an art. Sometimes you get too many references. Sometimes you get too less of references. So you need to, build your search in such a way that you get what you want, right? So for example, because I'm just demonstrating, so I will take the single example, and I'm going to use title. By title I want to search. For example, I type here teacher education. Okay, so now I will search the remote library. Just a second. So it's searching. It will take a few seconds. Now it is showing me that probably many options are there on this online database. How many of you them you want to see? So just to show you, I'm limiting it to 75 so that it doesn't take much longer time. So now you will see that it is fetching 75 references with this string, the search I have built upon teacher education. So see, it is giving more and more articles. So these are about 75 articles, right? Teacher education, I have searched the word. Now I will select because all 75 I doesn't need. I can choose specific ones, or I can choose a particular set, right? So for example, I choose for articles from here to here. I manually select them, and I create a local library. Here is this icon for creating a local library. Local library means, sorry, just a second. Create a local library. Local library means that all the references won't be permanently saved. When you close the EndNote, they will be gone. So I need to create a different group that they are permanently saved. So I will create a group. Okay, I will create a group. By clicking on the group icon, I create a group, and I give it a name, demonstration Okay. So now I have created a group named FDP demonstration, and I also have my local library, this library. Now what do? I select all the references and move it to my group. Now all the files from the local library are now copied in the permanent folder, that is FDP demonstration, right? So this way, just by making a search, you have got many articles. Now you have created a permanent group also, right? Now how can you now if you want to search that how many of these can get you a full text article, okay? So what you can do, you can search that you can search the database whether the articles are freely available. If they will be freely available, they will show here. So I just click that get the full text. Yes, I want to request server to get me full text. Okay, so let's see. Yeah, so search is being done. Now you see there is a paperclip sign in the front of the every article, right? Not every article, the articles that have the full text available, right? So you see wherever there is a paperclip sign, these articles are available in full text. Okay, so if I go here, see my cursor is here, and I click on the full text. Just a second. Yes, you see, you click here on the article with the paperclip sign, and you click here on the preview, you get the full article in the Endnote itself, right? So this way you can get full articles, full text article from the database that you have selected. So if I click on this, I get this one. So it makes your job easy to find full text article. Others you probably get through institutional subscription, or you can request the publisher, right? So this way we get the full text articles. Now how can we cite the references in a text? Now I will have to switch between, I'm actually, now is this Word document visible to you?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Visible.
So you see, I have written a paragraph here, and I want to add some references for this just before the period. Now I have placed my cursor here at the end of the sentence, and also in the Endnote group, I have activated the instant formatting on. There are two modes of instant formatting, on and off. I have kept it on so that it will do simultaneously arrange my references that I'm incorporating in the text as a list also. Okay, so instant formatting is on, right? Now what will I do? I have placed the cursor here, and I will switch to the Endnote, and I will select certain or whatever article that I want to mention or cite. In, say for example, I've selected two articles here, and I now click on the insert citation button, right? Insert citation. Now, so you will see it has automatically gone to the Word, and it has inserted the citations as well as the list. Now the other thing is that now probably this is not the style you want for your article, so you can easily switch it to the style that you wish to use, right? It has many options available. So say for example, if I use APA style, it will automatically change to APA style, right? So this way your manual labor, now you can remove because you have requested the Endnote to change it to APA. So you can choose either of the styles. So now you need not to worry about, which again, I will have to do all that labor to manually manage your references. So I think this is clear. Now, one more thing I was telling you, that you can do page number editing also if you want to. For example, if I go here, I place my cursor at the end of this reference and I want to add or edit the citation. So it will allow me to add that also. For example, for now I'm adding a random number, say 45, which may not be actual number, but just to show you that it will add a page number as well. So you see in text, page number can also be added through Endnote. So with this, I will stop here. Just a second. Yeah, there are many softwares that you can play with, you can learn them, because learning by doing is best strategy I think one can adopt. Unless you do it, you may not learn it properly. Okay, so and also when you have learned something fresh, you should, if you repeat it, right, so it will act as an reinforcement for enhanced learning, I think. So you please try to practice with the Endnote or whatever software you like to. And at the end, just a second, let me do.
Hello.
Yes, 1 minute. Huh?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Yeah, thank
for
you.
this amazing session. Yes. Thank you so much. That was really informative. Where we know the visibility of research process, which uncover the ways of success in proper manner. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Dear participants, if you are having any queries, so you can ask and you can write in the chat box.
I think I took a little more time. I hope that you all were able to get me.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think no doubts are there.
It means that I was clearly understood by everyone. Thank you so much for paying so much patience, attention to my talk. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. So I'm inviting Dr. Vinay Kumar, Faculty of Education in Tirthankar Mahavir University, Muradabad, for vote of thanks.
Thank you, Rachna ma'am, for inviting me to give a vote of thanks. On the behalf of Tirthankar Mahavir University, first of all, I would like to say thanks to our resource person, Dr. Sukhdev Mishra sir from ICMR, and Dr. Swati Joshi ma'am from Central University of Gujarat, for enlightening us with their great knowledge and valuable experiences. And I am sure that all the participants would have learned so many things from these sessions, and it would be definitely fruitful for the growing researcher. And today I have also learned so many things, like what is ethical and unethical in research, how to cite different article like video lecture, web pages, and definitely it would be helpful for new researcher. And again we are thankful for our resource person for taking out valuable time for us from their busy schedule, and it was a wonderful experience. Thank you so much once again, our resource person, Dr. Sukhdev Mishra sir and Swati Joshi ma'am, for their wonderful talk. And thank you everyone for their kind support and their interest. Thank you, all of you. Now I request to Rachna ma'am to proceed the session.
Thank you, sir. Thank you all of you for your patience and the droplets of knowledge.
Thank you
By
very
these
much, madam.
lines,
Thank
I'm
you.
concluding.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank
By
you.
these
And
lines,
thank you, sir. Okay, thank you.
okay. Should I?
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
By these lines, I'm concluding today's session with the same promise that we will meet again on tomorrow with a new tuck of knowledge of Professor Yashpal Singh from Mahatma Jyotiba Phule Rohelkar University, Bareilly, and Dr. Sampak Acharya from Rajasthan Shiksha Mahavidyalaya, Jaipur, Rajasthan. So everyone, till tomorrow, remain safe, healthy, and happy. Thank you all.